Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. Did you want to have you can have video on. I set everything up so you can have your video up if you'd like to have your video on.
Sure. Let me see if it'll work. Here we go.
Hell yeah.
How have you been? You been taking care of yourself?
Yeah, I've been doing good. Real quick, pronouns, just so we get this all clear.
Sure, it is he and him. Very creative.
All
I
right,
know.
the classics.
My mom gave it to me.
Oh, they're great. Hell yeah. I mean, listen, you gotta wear whatever fits you with pride. I think that's awesome. And real quick, can I just get a very quick audio check? I just want to make sure our audio levels are, fairly balanced here.
Sure. Audio check 1 2 3. Audio check 1 2 3. Popcorn.
All right. That should be good. Now we should be at pretty close levels. Let me see here. Not getting video yet from you. Oh wait, hold on.
Sorry, I was trying to pull from my capture card. I was about to stream you like me playing Tears of the Kingdom or something.
Oh no, that's fine. That's just getting Discord video to work nicely with OBS is always a nightmare, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Always is. Probably always will be.
I had to completely change my setup today, which is normal whenever I do a Discord call, but I wanted to make sure that we could both have video for, if the option was available. So
yeah, no problem.
Well, Shark, welcome to the show, and thank you for sitting down today. So, God, there's so much that we could talk about, but I have a lot of new viewers who've been checking out my show recently. So if you would like to just introduce yourself and give them all a sort of rundown of who you are and what you do online, that would be amazing.
Sure. Hello, my name is Shark300. That's the word shark, the number 3, the letter O, and the word 0. I do politics and gaming. I am a lefty. I hide my power level a little bit. I am a socialist boy, an anti-capitalist boy. We love to challenge the system and whatnot. You know how dogs is and all that. Yeah. Basically, I most of my content revolves around ducking on conservatives, making people cognizant of some issues, talking about things that I enjoy and like in the space, and just overall having a good time, trying to make the world a better place, one meme at a time.
Hell yeah. That sounds awesome. We are definitely fans of dunking on conservatives over here. God knows I've done my share of that.
Inshallah.
Yeah, it's in fact, I'd like to do more of it. I feel like there's been I don't know, maybe not enough of it lately, especially given everything that's been going on. Although I've been greatly enjoying people dunking on the potentially fake news hungry of the Ron DeSantis. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, hungry. So good.
I'm going to say it's true, mostly because it's funny, and then just leave it at that. It's just
real.
It's
saying it's real.
Did you know that remember his sit down interview when he was like, my wife, I mean my mom. When he was like, my mommy, I mean my wife.
Like yes, I do remember that.
He called his own wife his mommy live on TV. So I'm just kind of like, is it real? Probably not. But like, the funniest thing is that it's not necessarily out of character for him.
It's believable. That's the part that hits the hardest. It's so believable.
The fact that I believed a lie on the internet says a lot about the state of the world that we're in, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that I thought it could be true. I mean, I will say it does sound like him, and I've enjoyed laughing at the clip, regardless of its veracity.
I personally think that
humor is good.
I don't have too many conspiracy theories, but I have one conspiracy theory, and it's that Hungry came out right after Ice Cream So Good as a to co-op. And as a psyop to make us no longer think about that really cool Quebecian lady who does NPC TikToks. I think he's trying to take us off.
I actually had a conversation with I don't know if you're familiar, if you know President Sunday earlier, but me and President Sunday were talking about the NPC phenomenon and the overlaps with ASMR, especially the overlaps with oddly satisfying content like soap cutting and slime crunching and whatever.
You listen to ASMR?
Really, what's that?
You listen to
Actually,
ASMR?
no. Well, I mean, sometimes yes. There is an overlap between soap cutting and the slime squishing, but they're not actually technically ASMR, and they sort of evolved parallel, believe it or not. I'm like a super ASMR freak, and my chat will get mad if I go on about ASMR too much.
I listen to ASMR sometimes. I treated my chat to a video that I listen to every now and again. It's ear blowing heartbeat. So they'll have two mics,
based.
one connected to their heart, so you can hear their heartbeat, and they'll go and they'll just blow into the microphone slowly, and they'll do that for like 2 hours.
That's some good taste right there.
It is pretty good. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah,
they didn't like it that much. They got scared.
Some people don't like it. And I can understand the like misophonia reaction. You know, like some sounds just don't sit well with people. Misophonia, I think
what is
what
that?
It's called. It's like a
that sounds like a food that went rogue in chowder.
Yeah, it kind of does sound like that. It's a term that means like when you have a bad reaction to certain sounds. Like for example, the one that everybody uses is styrofoam. Like somebody,
like taking 2 pieces of styrofoam and like rubbing them against each other.
That's like the most common. Nails on a chalkboard is another one that like it immediately it's a strong negative reaction to certain sounds. And some people have that for certain ASMR triggers, which I totally understand. However, I've encountered, and I don't want to turn this into a whole conversation about ASMR. I'm sorry for getting off on such a tangent.
No, I love it.
But I've encountered a weird hostility to ASMR that goes above and beyond like the misophonia thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I've been trying to temper my negative reaction to the NPC thing, because there is some of the NPC thing that makes me go, that's a little unsettling. There's uncanny valley, but I've been trying to temper it, you know, because I don't think it's like harmful.
The Quebec lady, for me personally, the Quebec lady, that one's perfectly understandable, because literally all she's doing is giving the same exact reaction. She has like, I explained it as like it's a cookie cutter reward for somebody. I mean, you have a saying when somebody subscribes, right?
I used to. I mean, I used to have a little sound clip that played when I got like a subscriber or whatever. Although it hasn't worked for a while, and I just haven't put it back because I felt like it was just, I don't know, interrupting everything I was saying.
Yeah, no, I feel you. So, it's like for me,
but it's common. Yeah.
For me, it's like mine goes like Shark Pog, and I go, thank you for joining the frenzy and being so incredibly pog, right? And I say it the same way every single time. And it's just, she has a cookie cutter response to every single like donation that you can give, that she's practiced and rehearsed. And it's just, they've given her so much that she just started, the stream is just her thanking subscribers. And so it just became one of those things where it's just like balloon. Ice cream's so good.
Yeah, no, she's definitely good at it. She's definitely got it down.
Listen,
the talent is there. It's
quality control. I've never seen a content creator with such good quality control. Like if I give her ice cream, I know exactly what I'm gonna get in return, and it's good.
I think perhaps part of what puts it in the uncanny valley for me is like a personal nightmare of like I get nervous even getting overwhelmed with dono messages, which does happen, and I'm just like, all right guys, I'm reading them at the end, because like it's probably a me thing on that front, where it's like, oh man, the obligation to like do a dance or a song or a thing every time somebody does something. Oh no,
but she did something genius. She did something genius, which is turning the content of the stream into the thank you. Like turn the thank you into the content of the stream. So now people come to watch her say thank you to getting money, and so you don't even have to worry about it.
No doubt, it's definitely a good money making setup. I can imagine. No hate there whatsoever. Well, anyway, not to stick on the NPC stuff for too long. I appreciate very much hearing your defense of the NPC people, because generally my opinion has been some of this is a little uncanny to me, but I don't think it's hurting anybody, and it reminds me a lot of ASMR, so I haven't had like a strongly negative reaction, but it's good to hear a solidly positive one.
Hell yeah.
So wow, so the primary topic that has brought us together today is significantly less fun to talk about, I think, than, at least for me, and I imagine probably for you, than the NPC stuff. And that is this amorphous, angry, very divisive drama that's been going on. And recently, as I'm sure you know, but in case your viewers and some of my new viewers didn't know, just a couple days ago, I sat down, I had a conversation with a creator named Soul Bunny, a smaller creator, who right after listening to a video by another creator named Foreign Man in a Foreign Land. And I had some negative things to say about the Foreign Man in a Foreign Land video. I'll be straight up with that. I had a lot of critiques for it. And my conversation with Soul Bunny was generally friendly, although it was divisive because there were things said about various topics, one of which is yourself, that caused a reaction from a lot of people. And I think that's fair. I think that a lot of people had genuine opinions to express and genuine frustrations. And this whole thing has been rather complicated and hard to follow for a lot of people, myself included. So I guess maybe the way that we should start this off, besides the way that I already have, is just to ask you, like, for you, from your perspective, where did this start? What started this whole thing? What as far as you can tell, what started this whole thing?
What started this whole thing, honestly, personally, was the that Soul Bunny video, where I don't even remember what the whole video was about. I didn't watch the whole video, but I did look at the parts like 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after. She mentioned me. I remember she and they.
Yeah, she that. Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah, where they mentioned me in their video, and then when they went off on me, they went candid and went off on me and everything.
Yeah.
And after that happened, I didn't know that it happened. I'm actually not on Twitter necessarily that much. I tweet like a reasonable amount. Nothing too crazy, but I don't like scroll through my timeline super often, and I don't like look at my notifications super often. And actually on my phone, I have Twitter notifications turned off, so I don't get a lot of ads that people do of me unless it's like after the fact, after take a couple days and scroll through. So
which is wise.
Yeah, I just want to start to spend a little less time on Twitter. So not getting a reason to go back on is nice when I don't get the notifications. Sometimes I forget it exists. But yeah, a couple. I think I saw the video about like 3-4 days after the first like big clip was posted, like the big clip that I saw, and I got added in it with her like calling me a slur and basically calling me Vosh's pet dancing monkey.
Yikes.
And I was like, damn, that's like not cool. And then I said something, and then they started to like close in and descend. Have you ever played Vampire Survivors?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like that when like the round starts and like the screen closes in as they come in on you, and then that's when that happened, right? And then over the course of like the next couple of days, it started to ramp up until I had everything, and then I went kind of silent as I put together my video. At first, I didn't want to say anything, but then after things like progressed, I was like, okay, things need to be said now, and then I had to make a response. But it started with that video. Honestly, and they like they picked it up. I will say one thing. I did listen to your entire conversation that you had with her. One thing that I felt like that was super interesting was that at like nearing the end or something, she was like, everybody always takes things, everybody keeps things going for way too long. Everything happens like everybody feels like they need to. Well, she didn't say that, but she was like, everything goes on for too long. They make these things go on for too long. These issues that they brought up with me, how old are they? They're minimum 1 year, right?
I mean, I think that if I recall correctly, the main the main thrust was some commentary that you had made on the Cat Black situation between Vosh and Cat Black.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, her and Vosh.
Between her and Vosh.
That was like, I think
probably get you the date on that. It's
I think that's over
definitely at least a year. I think it's well over a year now.
And I think the Professor Flowers stuff, I think that's at least is that closing in on 2? I think it's definitely closing in on 2 years, if not 2 years old by this point.
God, that's very old. Yeah. let's see. I've got this stream right here, right now, Vosh's stream about this, and it was from March 15th of 2022. So yeah, well over a year would have been the sort of inciting incident that was talked about here. And for the Professor Flowers, yeah, I think that's over 2 years now. And I've gone on the record as saying like I never want to hear Professor Flowers Vosh drama. Like those words in a combination cause my brain to immediately shut off. It's like I don't even know like the level of conflict. I saw all that. I did a stream at the time, and I genuinely thought it would be sort of over in a week. I thought it would be people were mad. You said this, you weren't super good about this, whatever, and then it would be done like anything. But the fact that it's still being brought up in videos now and is wild to me. And I don't know how to parse that completely outside of like grudges being nursed. And I don't want to downplay things because like God knows, I mean, I've dealt with some shit that I will be very blunt about and say like, hey, shit that has been done to me and said about me in these spaces, like I'm not gonna like if somebody asked me about it, I'm not gonna not talk about it. I'm not gonna say like, oh yeah, whatever. But also there's no like I'm not making videos about it or dropping it into video segments and firing shots, you know, all this time later. And I feel like I have pretty solid receipts if I even wanted to do so, but I don't. And
Yeah, it's just that
I don't know. It burns for so long, and it's surprising to me.
Yeah, my thing is just like I don't know. Throughout that conversation, I don't know. I was just like, because this happens a lot. Okay, this happens online a lot, where something big happens or something happens at all, and then when it's new to you, that's when you think that it's new, and then you start talking about it like it's new, and then it starts to pick up again. So like they came on and they started like to wax and waxing poetically about how it sucks so much that my 15-second clip that I made, like this is them speaking, like my 15-second clip that I made, it's all these people's fault for continuing to talk about it when I just think that it's actually your fault for you making it in the first place. Like it's somebody else's fault for like talking about something that you brought up that was over a year old. My thing is that I just feel like it's a hypocritical to be like, I can't believe people are having this continue for so long when you just appeared in the space and then just started to talk about it again like it just happened yesterday when all this stuff is like a year old. I'm not saying that you can't talk about it. I'm just saying that it just seems I think it like builds a character for me, because when I watch your video, if I'm going to be honest with you, when I watch your like discussion, I think it like they were like, oh, like his response solidified my opinion of him in my mind, which is something that I didn't really, which something I thought was going to happen and I didn't really care. And I didn't make, I'm not, did you see my video that I made?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay.
I didn't see all of Soul Bunny's video either.
That's fine.
Soul Bunny came in.
I just wanted to ask because I just wanted to ask because I just didn't know. I didn't want to mansplain to you. Honestly, it was something you already knew. So
don't worry.
Yeah, so I was like, I didn't make that video for them. Any of the people that I mentioned in that video, I didn't do it for them. If I'm going to be completely honest, if I'm going to be candid, I view all of these people at this point as, you know, capital M straight up monsters. I just straight up, all of them, I just view them as monsters. And I don't want to say anything that you have to agree with. I think that you're cordial with her and like her and everything. But I just at this point, I just straight up view these people as just monsters who just like hurting other people and don't care about anything else as long as somebody else that they don't like bleeds. And it's just like, it's to the point where after time I started.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I don't.
No, that could be. Listen, I'm gonna say this could be completely like, if I'm gonna use the word like paranoid or like going too far. I'm just being candid. In my mind, personally, that's just how I feel about these people and how they treated me. If I look at their actions, like if they look at their actions compared to their words, I think like somebody's words tell you what's in their head. I think their actions tell you what's in their heart. And if I look at their actions, like if I look at like the antagonizing things, I said somebody did something bad once and it doesn't make them a bad person. I didn't even make a video about the Cat Black situation. If I'm going to be honest, like on YouTube, I didn't. I made one tweet and I also did a video where I said I completely see how people. I did a video on Twitch. I did like a little mini stream that I uploaded straight to Twitch because I knew I have less viewers there. I didn't want to make this like a big thing. I didn't think it was that big of a thing, but I wanted to expand on some of my points, so I made that video there, right? But if I and then on like Professor Flowers stuff, I feel like I've treated Professor Flowers incredibly cordially through everything that I've did and everything that I've done. And I look at like the inciting situations, and I look at like the actions that are done, and I'm like, I'm not the one who's calling people like slurs over this stuff. Okay, I'm not the one who, I'm not FD who did a stream about whether or not I'm a fly in milk who should like know his place, like behind black people who know more and who are less like tainted by their connections with like white people or whatever. I'm not the one who said that I'm doing like that said they're like Candace Owens, whose like existence online and just in the world generally speaking is a blight on black people just generally. I'm not the one who said that if I was like if we were back in like the 1800s, I would be a black slave owner torturing slaves, and I'd laugh at it. I didn't make slave edits of anybody. I didn't do that. And I look at all these actions and I go, are these the actions of somebody of people who genuinely care about me and like changing my mind or making the world a better place, or are these the actions of people who are just monsters? And I had to come, and for me, where I'm sitting, and people can come to their own conclusions, from where I'm sitting, I came to the conclusion that these people are simply just monsters who just want to harm me just to harm me. And so I decided to not make that video for them, and so I wasn't talking to them. And so it makes sense for all that type of stuff. But I don't know, her like talking to me, it just rubbed me the wrong way, if I'm gonna be honest. I haven't talked about this much publicly outside of the immediate thing, so.
No, and that's fair. I mean, your name came up a lot in the conversation, and so there's a few things I want to say. So the first thing is, my goal in any of these conversations has never been to minimize anybody's experience. In fact, it's quite the opposite has been my goal. My goal has been to try and get people in whatever small way I can, from my relatively small platform.
Sure, and once again, I don't want to like stop you from doing that, and I don't care like who you're friends with, just so you know. And I'm not like you said you may have been friends with them, or you're like cordial with them. I don't care. I don't want to like try and put you and tell you like you need to like not be friends. I don't care about them. I'm just telling you like how I feel.
I don't have a history in this space of like refraining from being able to criticize my friends. That's, in fact, I have the reputation for the opposite, for better or worse.
Oh no, I'm just saying like my position here. I don't care about like who
I
you're
guess
friends
what
with.
I'm trying to say is that like my goal has never been to like minimize anyone's frustration or feelings of hurt, but I feel like so first of all, I feel like there has been, and I think I will, I'm more than comfortable to say that like I feel like there has been an incredible amount of hyperbole directed at you, and I think that even happened in the conversation that I had with Soul Bunny, which is something that I said in that conversation. You'll probably recall. I said like, don't you feel like a lot of these things, like comparisons to Candace Owens, like how do you like justify that as a statement? And I personally don't feel like there's been a good argument made for those types of that level of hyperbole, and I do think that type of stuff is hurtful. I want to believe that it's not a matter of people being monsters or anything like that, and I'm not saying you're not entitled to that type of feeling or not. I like to believe that that there are incentives at play here that lead people to forget forget their humanity, and that can be corrected. Now maybe it can't. I've certainly encountered situations online where it's not possible to bridge that gap. I want to believe that it's possible, but I don't actually feel like it's my place or my job to like make people be friends or even encourage them to be friends. I'm just saying from my perspective, I hope that's not the case, but I completely understand why you might feel that, especially given some of the things that have been said about you. Which I guess and there was one other thing that you were saying, which was when you say, and I don't want to try and grill you here or hold you to a point, but when you say like these people, is there a like, I'm not trying to get you to name names or anything, but I feel like it's important that I was pushing Soul Bunny on vagueness, and I felt like that was a problem. That
Soul Bunny,
really
Tyre, Dogface Gremlin. FD partly as well. Innuendo Studios, Jesse Earl,
Yeah, I mean, I think those.
and their like troop of people that they would like to call mostly cornbread too, but I don't know everybody who subscribes to that label, so I can't say necessarily
Yeah,
all
I
of
don't
them.
know either. Much like BreadTube,
Joe
can't
Lewis, I'm
quite
sorry,
tell.
yeah, I forgot about Joe Lewis as well. I blocked him as well. Had to.
Uh,
Oh,
I'm
also
sorry to
like
hear that. I'm
Mr.
sorry to hear
Mr.
there's been conflict between you.
Mr. Mr. Anti-Miscegenation himself as well. Endless Cemetery, that guy too. Anybody else that I missed? Because I'm going to be doing something different. Because Soul Bunny just like came on here and was just all just straight vagueness. All right, and I'm
I
perfectly
feel like
fine
she was
being
vague on
being
on
clear.
certain things, but I feel like she was unvague when she talked about you, which was something that was that sort
I
of stood
personally
out.
disagree, actually, because do you know what she like from like actually I very much disagree, and I think you disagree as well, because I remember specifically, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, when she was like Candace Owens tendencies, and you're like, what tendencies, that she just went
Oh,
on to then
I should be
ramble
clear. Yes, I
ramble
should
and
be
then not
clear. I
answer that
just
question.
mean with naming names is all I was
Sure.
trying to say there. I apologize. I would agree with you 100% in that I reviewed that conversation and I still don't feel like I was given, or that anybody has given me at any point, a solid actual allegation of what you've done. And that's one of the things that has bothered me, and why I opened this conversation by asking you like what your perception of what started this was, because I think it's important to hear like your perspective on that, where like what things were being lobbed against you, and if you could recall like where it started.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, when I've been in that place, I brought up with Soul Bunny, I brought up a situation where someone took an argument that I made during a conversation about gender and drew it to an unbelievable conclusion that concluded with me being a danger to trans people, was the sort of telephone game that was played. And I gave that as an example to sort of
That was your old shit with
illustrate
Riley,
exactly what
right?
we're talking about here. What's that?
That was your old shit with Riley, right?
Yeah, it was. It started with Riley Grace Rochong, and it blew up into something so much worse, that
Yeah, I
lasted
remember
for
all
a
that.
really long time. Yeah, it was a mess and it was terrible. And I still hold to this day, not to do what I was talking about, like relitigate drama, but I still hold that the conclusions that people drew from that were outrageous, and that what they ended up trying to label me as was completely unreasonable. Like
Do you
totally.
think that
And I feel like that's something here.
do you
That's
think that
happening
Soul
here.
Bunny believes that she's done anything wrong? Like, do you think they believe that they've done anything wrong?
On a personal level,
Like in this whole situation with me and everything.
I did not get the feeling that Soul Bunny was willing to acknowledge any sort of tangible wrongdoing, and that
That's
was something that I was frustrated about with the
yeah, me personally,
conversation.
I think you can tell a lot about somebody based on whether or not they actually think that they are even have the possibility of being wrong in the situation. Because I think
Yeah.
reasonable people can disagree with my position on like the cat shit and the flower shit. I think reasonable people can disagree, and I've had reasonable discussions in the comment section of both of those videos. I don't think that's a
Yeah.
problem. But I'm perfectly fine with some things that I may have said that are possibly wrong. I talk like all the time. I stream for like 100 hours a month. So
Yeah,
the
you're
likelihood of me
definitely
saying
on your
something
track,
wrong and
for
all
sure.
of that, yeah, is reasonably there. I just think just for me, I just never heard any of these people ever say something that they think that they've ever had the possibility of being wrong. And for me, honestly, it's like, I'm not sure if anybody's really said this, and it's probably just like another way of saying Dunning-Kruger, but I really think that like an ounce of knowledge comes with like a pound of hubris for a lot of people. And so like when you start to know more and you start to get into these like social economic and like cultural issues, you start to believe that you know more than you actually do. And I've got from a lot of these people that the likelihood that they think that they've ever said anything wrong really on their stream or channel, maybe it's because they think that they spend like 3 weeks making a single video. It means that they've ironed out all the issues, but I don't think that's true. And even like, I know FD specifically in the first like conversation that we had, even afterwards, even said that he had like a high horse ivory tower type understanding, because he explained like him versus like the debate bros is him and like the cornbread tube, that they weren't like pre cornbread tube, they're all like the generals wearing the suits in their ivory towers, and then we're like the ogres and the monsters in like the trenches doing the battling. I think he almost used that exact analogy, honestly. And it's just like I think it just shows a lot of like how you think about the world and how you think about other people
Yeah.
in the space. And even she said like, oh, I think we agree on like 95 96% of stuff. And I think I think like
Well,
they actually
that
care a
was one
lot
of the
about the
things that
95 96% of stuff. Like they care
that
about
was
like the
something
5 or
that
4
stood
or
out to
5%
me.
of stuff a lot more than
Like
the
when
95 or
I was
96.
talking with her, bringing that up, and I found it, and then I did my best, at least in this conversation, to try and drill down on that to the best of my ability. Is just like, well, I don't know how you can compare somebody who you agree with on 90% of things with, by your own admission, to somebody who you definitely. Candace Owens is not. There's no. I don't believe that there's a 90% agreement between Soul Bunny and Candace Owens, which to me just further illustrates that that was a an out of pocket, exaggeratory, hyperbolic comparison to make.
Yeah,
Um,
and on that idea, because like she was like more like, oh, but it went from just like Candace Owens to, well, backpedal to just like Candace Owens tactics. Do you have any like semblance of an idea what they even mean when they say that?
no, and that was what I. That's again, that's what I said in the conversation, which is what I said. Well, what do you mean when you're talking about tactics? Because and I think the conclusion of that particular segment on Soul Bunny's part, and I want to be as charitable as possible because obviously she's not here right now, but was to say that it was lying. But I don't think that when I think of Candace Owens, I don't think of like being a liar as her sort of a characteristic right wing trait. I think of the fact that she's founded and been a part of, knowingly and willingly, a extremely prejudiced right wing propaganda outlet that she uses her identity to shield that outlet from harm in a very explicit, knowledgeable way to incredible riches to her own gain. She makes a lot of money. We know to some degree how much money the people there are. So I don't see that as a corollary to just lying. And I felt like that was one of the sections of the conversation where I didn't feel like I could get any other answer.
I think
And
that she was
yeah,
actually telling the truth there. I think I think that's what she actually believes in her head is that there's two things, okay? And especially the not wanting to accept that not all black people think the same way that she does was like proof for me at the end when she was like what I think she thinks of me. If I'm going to think because you took the charitable position, I'm going to take the uncharitable position. What I think in my own head. If I'm going to just if I'm going to be candid, I think honestly,
I wanted to have a conversation with you because I want to hear your perspective on it, and I want people to be able to hear your perspective on it.
appreciate it.
So go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, in her head, if you are one, black, and two, disagree with her, that is Candace Owens' tendencies. I think that's basically it. If you think about it, and that may sound like super uncharitable, but if you think about it for a second, what other explanation would there be for her thinking the way that she does about me? If I'm just like not for one black, and then two like Candace, one black and two disagree with her, that means I have to be like on anything really. That means I have to be like Candace Owens. Really, it has to be like her. Like me being black and me disagreeing with her on specific things has to be like Candace Owens because she thinks that I attack certain people to get like clout or money or like recognition, whether I know it or not, from like the white people around me. So that's why I believe what I do. I'm Vosh's pet tap dancing monkey, and so I have to think like that. And so that's why so that's why I do that whether I want to or not, or think so or not. I play into white supremacy because everything that they believe, because I think what they believe is that they're like correct. I've never heard them say that they believe that they're genuinely wrong on like the core fundamental or like principles of like the things that they say. So they're right and they're like not white supremacists. And so if you disagree on anything, that 4 or 5%, that means that you're supporting white supremacy. And any deviation from their own personal ideology is supporting white supremacy. And so you're just like Candace Owens, because that supporting white supremacy is like a small baby version, like a small grain of the massive monster of the supporting white supremacy that Candace Owens does. And that's what I think they think about me. I do think I hate I hate these people. I genuinely hate all of them. Genuinely all of them. Now I after listening to your conversation with her, genuinely, like I kind of forgot. I didn't I'm the type of person where I don't like to hold grudges too much, but I can't like deny how I feel. And
Right.
I feel about 99% of the anger that I did when I saw those messages originally on Twitter months ago or months ago for the first
Mhm.
time. I kind of like have two types of anger: the sort of like flash fire anger when you see something originally that
Yeah.
makes you upset, and the sort of smoldering anger that takes a long time to put out. And I'm just it just reminded me of how angry I am at a lot of these people for what they tried to like do or say about me, because I can't think of anything honestly more disrespectful than trying to say that you work for the destruction of your mom, your dad, your grandma,
Yeah.
your family members, your little sister, your older brother, your nieces and nephews, your cousins. You're working for their destruction for your own personal gain and money online. I can't think of anything more disrespectful. You probably know exactly how it feels when they tried to call you a
Yeah.
transphobe for believing that trans people should be able to be like considered trans no matter what state of like transition they're in.
Yeah, no, and I actually appreciate you opening up about that and being willing to sort of say how you feel about it, because I was going to ask you, because that's something that was like that I think goes under discussed. And I think this is complicated because I think sometimes in these spaces, and especially this is something that I brought one of the biggest criticisms against the foreign man in a foreign land video, which I don't know if you've seen it or not. Regardless, one of my critiques was that a lot of it seemed to me to boil down to personal disagreements that are being justified via a moral or political lens. There is a and you actually touched on this here for a second, talking about how like there's a sort of a you're either with me or against me type thing, where if you disagree on anything, because I am in the position of the anti-white supremacy, that must mean you must be in the pro position. And I think that these things kind of link together. They kind of lock together to create this need for personal distaste to be laundered through this political justification. And I do think that it produces a really hurtful outcomes that go above and beyond just like internet shit talking. Because and I brought this up in both the conversation and in my review of one of these videos that we're talking about, which was saying that like I don't really go around policing people talking how they talk about other people very often. I don't, but also it just seems odd to me when you could just say, I think this person's a fucking idiot and here are my reasons. And instead it becomes, no, this person is like someone who is a danger, someone who does not deserve a platform, someone who needs to be like excised from X community. I find that it gets really hurtful. And what you touched on there is like, I mean, I know firsthand how much that kind of shit hurts. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't some people out there who are doing the things that people that are being lobbed at yourself and myself in other cases. Like, obviously, I do think that there are people who are willing to sell trans people out for their own personal gain. I think that when I bring up somebody like that, I'm willing to come with the evidence of that. But I just feel like it's a off the cuff and very, very hurtful and very hyperbolic and also very reputation damaging thing. And to sort of wrap off what I was trying to say there, I think it's really hurtful. And I think it makes these spaces toxic, because I think that it hurts not only the general discourse in the space, but the individual creators. It drives people to burnout. It drives people to being in bad emotional states for no reason, based on trumped up allegations that don't have strong strong foundations in truth. And I think that's fucked up, and I don't like it. I think it's bad. And I can't help but feel like a lot of sympathy and empathy for you in the way that you talked about that, because I've definitely felt that myself. Um, and yeah, so I guess I just wanted to say that, I guess. Um,
1 second, I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no problem, no problem. Um,
I had to
yeah.
grab my I had to grab my hand strengthening tool. I noticed I was
Oh yeah,
grinding
no
my
problem.
teeth. I'm angry,
Yeah,
so
I
I had to
mean,
grab that.
I've been, to step out of the specific situation for just a second, I've talked about this extensively, like what you're talking, your teeth grinding, but like the physical and emotional effects that these spaces can have are um, they are very, very difficult to deal with. And I've been streaming for 3 years now, and I've been through some really crazy shit. I've had some people do some absolutely deranged shit against me, and the stress is unbelievably difficult to deal with. And it's funny because even I think FD Signifier mentioned this explicitly in one of his videos, a video which I also had critiques for, based on the factuality of some of the claims. But I think everyone, excuse me, can acknowledge the physical and mental effects that this has. And I feel like that should prompt people to think more deeply about how willing they are to make certain allegations, and should prompt people to evidence their claims more deeply, especially when we know how fast everything moves in these spaces, that your reputation can be damaged, that you know uh especially with certain allegations can hurt so much, and they detract from everything and your ability to stream. I mean, I've talked to my stream very candidly this year about how I've been trying to defeat a habit that I didn't even notice had formed, where in so many of my videos I was over explaining myself because I felt this passive perpetual pressure that I was going to be that there was people who were going to take me out of context and jump on me. And even though that doesn't happen not most of the time, the fact that it's happened so egregiously in certain situations was negatively, it had built a habit in my mind that I hadn't even noticed, that was negatively impacting my ability to make content, to have joy in the content that I was making, in the stuff that I was cared about, because I felt like I was constantly second guessing myself. And it took me a long time to even realize that it happened. And I think it's something that a lot of people experience. And I do think that what we've been talking about here, these sorts of incredibly hurtful and hyperbolic statements, especially when they're based off of no evidence or low evidence or really shaky evidence, I feel like they cause that, they like make that shit happen like hard. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. I know that was a little rambly.
No, they do. I don't know, when like when like the click and everything, like Soul Bunny, the Wicked Witch of the West, and her troop of flying nondescript mammals came after me, I was just like, I don't really know necessarily. I felt like really slighted, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I feel like I've treated them incredibly well for the most part. Like I leaked my DMs with flowers and everything in the video I made, and it was just like they reached out to me and was like, I saw your thing. I know you disagree with me, but I think I can explain myself better, and I'm going to be making another video. If you don't like me after that, then that's fine. And I was like, it's fine. I'm perfectly fine. Even though I had some stuff to disagree with you with, I completely understand. And if you make it, I'll listen to it. I can't find myself to have a lot of hatred for somebody who wants to make the world a better place. And then after that, they block me and everything. I never reached out to them. I never spoke about them ever again after that situation. And then afterwards, just with everything going on, with some people coming into my own chat to try to like screech slurs at me, and then getting mad that they got banned by like the auto mod and everything, and then all of these people afterwards to like play the victim and then farm content and clout off of like the apparent of my apparent suffering and everything. Thankfully, I didn't suffer that much through like all of this, like monetarily or like reputationally. Thankfully, everything was perfectly fine. I have a really good community, and I can thank them for that. And I think in the midst of it, I think I lost. I think it was the third day in the history of my channel that I've ever lost subscribers, and I think I lost 17. I lost 17 subscribers that day, and when I dropped my video, I gained an extra 700. So thankfully,
well, there you go.
Yeah, so thankfully everything was like mostly okay. But I don't really care much. If I'm gonna be, I don't really care much about the career harming thing or like the personal harming thing. It's just like I feel like I gave them enough benefit of the doubt and I was like good enough to them. And then the way that they just treated me after that just it just really filled me with rage. And I'm still very angry about them. I genuinely like I hate all of these people. And and just like moving forward, I don't really want to speak to any of them ever again. I know like and shout out to everybody on like that like now a bit old like FD stream where he talked about like the fly in milk type thing. And like shout out to all of the black people who went on there to like defend my honor or whatever. Where they were like, I think calling Shark this, that, and the third is like pretty fucked up, honestly. And I don't think that you should say anything along those lines. And I think it's great and everything, but like it's more like it's less of a YouTuber level and it's more on like a human level of like it shows me what's in their heart and what they would like do to me. Because even on the Tyerb stuff, like I never spoke to Tyerb outside of like the Twitter back and forth, but I did like. Some of you all remember us talking about tokenization and like me being like talking about being tokenized or like if I'm tokenized or my opinions on that because I don't talk about this stuff like super often if I'm going to be honest with you. And I used his video because he did talk about me in that video. So it was another one of those like mini like 15-second clips where they just like bring me up for like the shortest amount of time and then they never talk about me ever again. I guess they only like bring me up for a second to either like take a swipe at me or like or like say that my position in the space is compromised and you all only allow me here because I'm the local darky. So you all can use as your own personal shield to shield you all from racism or whatever. That's my only usefulness here for anybody in the space. That's the only thing that they think about me. And I was just like, I brought up his video to specifically talk about like I'm glad that there's other like younger like my age black people in this space and I would like to like connect through content a bit. I didn't even criticize his video. I linked to the video. I said it's a good video. I had like a couple of things to say about the way that he used the term like tokenization and I wanted to touch on it because I hadn't had an opportunity to talk about tokenization outside of like a conservative talking about it. Now I can talk about it in the space. And that was really interesting and really cool. And then he used that as an attack against me to say that I like tore up his video after it. It's just I don't know what else to do for a lot of these monsters. Honestly, I can't think of them as anything else but monsters for how they treated me. And so I had to block literally all of them. I blocked all of them and I continue to block more of them even still today. I had an extra like 4,000 people to my block list and I think that's honestly like the best thing moving forward. Cause I used to be a little bit like
the only thing you can do.
Yeah, I used to be a little bit like I talked to them a little bit. I was like in the like middle space. I'm kind of like you, a little bit in that like little middle space in between like the two communities. But like I can't bring myself to hate somebody that I have like some slight disagreements with when they want like most of the stuff that we do. And I don't feel like talking about a lot of the disagreements that we have in the space honestly is super important because I don't think a lot of them are super like important to talk about. I feel like it's just like farming content to farm content because it seems bigger to you because it's in your personal space. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's like means that much on like a global scale level. I would rather like dunk on a Ben Shapiro video than dunk on a leftist video, if I'm gonna be honest with you, most of the time. Yeah. And I just and so I'm just like, man, what do I do? And so I just had to come to the conclusion that I just need to break off from all of these people and never talk to them again. I just can't. I like I'm still like when this has happened, I was thinking to myself, I have like to judge how mad I am. I helped it was put together for me with like a therapist like a little while ago. I had like a little list of some questions I asked myself to judge how mad I am. And like the last big question on there is if I was dying of an uncurable disease and one of these people was the only person with the antidote and I just had to reach out and ask for it to get it, would I do it? And I honestly, I had trouble answering yes. And I still to this very day have trouble answering yes. I think I would rather die than speak to a lot of these people ever again in my life. And I can't imagine reaching out to any of these people who with the hubris, with the antagonism, with the hate that like wells in their heart to like leave them be like around me or my community ever again. I just can't fathom doing that because they just don't care about anything besides making other people suffer and making money off of other people suffering. And that's basically it, especially with that foreign video, like farming content off of like Keffels and Vosh and whatever calling me a slur in the video again, specifically just to get more people into your boring ass, dry ass, poorly put together, poorly scripted, shitty video that barely said anything or added anything new to the situation, and then changing the thumbnail after you got your clout and your little like clout bucks off of it. I just think it's just crazy. That's the only video I've ever made, me responding to them. That's the only video I've ever made on this shit, as they continue making videos calling me slurs and saying that I'm like Candace Owens and hating on me. I'm not doing anything.
Like, it was something that I brought up in the Foreign Man, in my react to the Foreign Man video, was just that like making you as your face, you as a person, like an in joke, to me, just, it's so weird to me. It comes off as so unhealthy, and I can completely
I never talk about these people. I literally never refer to these people, and I know they're in their little group chats, like calling me slurs and making like little slave edits of me, and saying that I'm like the BreadTube's pet monkey and shit like that. I know that's all they do and how they love to spend their time, and I just can't imagine there's groiper ass mentality. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you, and you don't have to agree with that. But like,
no, I mean, I'm not in disagreement with the idea, like the toxicity of this shit. I've been on the record as, I mean, again, I don't know if you watched my reaction to the Foreign Man video. I was not kind. I was very harsh to that video. In fact, I believe I said it was the worst video essay that I've seen since DJ Mule's disgusting hit piece against Xanderhall, which was just trash, just a trash fire. I thought the video was extremely poorly evidenced. I felt like it was hurtful. I felt like it was off-putting to anybody who isn't already in their sort of like it's like an in joke of referring to another creator as a slur. To me, like, that comes off as just like extremely weird and parasocial and petty and off-putting. I was very harsh on that video, and I think that, like, I'm not gonna lie, I think that the like incentivization of you know of this, of like I don't know, like running by people on the internet and slapping them, and then those people happen to be your personal enemies, so you boost the shit out of a video. Anybody who will do a video slapping people that you don't like, you're going to boost the fuck out of it and chump and you know, chunk it up because you think it's going to be, you know, because that's good, because it's like you're doing a moral good by fighting against the bad guy who happens to be. I think that shit is destroying the space, which, I mean, and maybe I've come off as maybe too even-handed in some of this. I have tried to. I've mostly wanted to just hear what you have to say about things, and you know, be able to facilitate that in some degree. But this toxicity is something I've been ranting about for a long time. I even did a video earlier about a different subject, but that was very similar thematically. This was a stream from back in February, which I called the Sky Burial for the Twitter Left, which was explicitly talking about how I just think that a lot of it is done. It's just done for. It's not growing as a space, and it can't grow because there's just too much toxicity. There is too much willingness to basically just launder interpersonal frustrations that are not well grounded into moral issues, moral crusades that I think are incredibly hurtful. So, no, I do agree with a lot of what you've said. I do think that there's a lot of hurtfulness going on, and I do think it's horrific behavior. I don't think it's helpful to anybody, and I don't think it's productive. I guess my hope is just that the majority of people who are going to be listening to us right now talking about this, and the majority of people who are going to be listening to the Soul Bunny conversation and my reaction to foreign and all of this stuff, is going to be people who are in these spaces. And I want to hopefully get them to think about these things on as deep of a level as possible. And I think the only way that you do that is by, I don't know, talking like this, if that makes sense. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I just think I can't be connected to any of these people anymore. I don't think they're going to really change. I think they're monsters. And if they can keep making videos and they can keep doing their thing. If they say something good, it's good. If they say something bad, it's bad. Somebody asked, like, what did Jessie do? That was wrong. She boosted 2 videos, both calling me slurs. and like shout out the creators and said it was so epic that they owned that they owned this like community
I did
so
find that
epically
an
hard.
incredibly weird thing to do.
Yeah, and so I
In
was,
my opinion.
and so I mean, like if
I even talked about that. I said that I thought it was extremely weird that there were multiple larger creators um, uh, gassing up, not just boosting the video itself, but taking the time afterwards to literally, in my opinion, love bomb Foreign Man after he did a video slapping at their personal enemies on the internet. I find that to be very weird. I think that's an incredibly strange dynamic, and it comes across as toxic and really petty. And of course, given the content of those videos, hurtful and deranged.
I don't know, I think these creatures really only care about their click and
Yeah.
and the amount of content that they can make. And I think their goal is to try to like snuff us out with making content. And I don't really, in like trying to call us slurs and trying to, specifically me, try to like take down my reputation to make me seen as like a pariah because like I'm not black enough and I'm just a silly darky who needs to know his place under all of them. Because I really think, like, especially with her going on, like Soul Bunny going on to your on your program and being like, oh, both sides are just so terrible. Both sides have done this. Both sides have done that. Both sides have done so much. Both sides have done. Both sides haven't done anything near as much as what they're saying. Both sides isn't anywhere near as bad, especially on this issue. Absolutely not. Oh, I can't believe everybody made such a big deal about me calling this other black creator a slur. How could? Oh, both sides are always so mad. I've never seen anybody on my side, especially from my community, say anything like that about her. I haven't seen anybody from my community say anything that terrible. I know people from her community who came up making slave edits about me and saying how I would fucking like torture to death black people if it made like my white like stream counterparts giggle a little bit or some shit like that. These people are genuinely insane, and I don't know
I've
what to do
seen
more with them anymore. I don't know what to do with them anymore. It's I don't know. I want to block them and I want to move on. And I think moving on, I think I want to understand. And it makes me really sad. All of this makes me like I'm angry, but I'm not only angry. Honestly, I'm really sad that this whole thing made me incredibly sad because there aren't many black people in this space, and I thought it was really fun and nice to have extra black people in this space, honestly. And I think it's really great. And even and I still do today, I just think that the people who are here are uncouth and unscrupulous and uncaring, tittering maniacs who only care about hurting other people and making money off of other people's suffering, especially ones on the left. And I just don't know what to do with that besides just cut myself off from them and move. I can't tell, I haven't talked about this publicly at all before, but in the making of my video, at first it was very solemn and it was very serious. And I recorded, I think at least it turned out to be like an hour-long video. I think I recorded like 4 hours worth of content in total. And I deleted it. The first script I was giving them back the same energy that they gave me on the situations that they criticized me on. I was spitting, because every single message, every single comment that they like make about me is coded in venom. Literally every single one, and you may have picked up on it as well. There's no, they will never speak about me if it's not covered in venom, and that's all they spit at me. And so I was just like, I was giving them back the same energy. I was going to tear them apart, honestly. I mentioned how like Soul Bunny is like friends and like chum around with people who genuinely like made jokes and cackle at like Eden Knight's death or her like killing, right? And she's genuinely like friends with some of these people online. And I mentioned that. I was going to mention so much more, but I cut it because I felt like I'm a role model. I'm a role model to smaller black creators and people who want to get into the space. I'm a role model to them. I've had so many come out actually in private, in public, in chat, in like DMs, and be like, I love the way that you take things. You're so level-headed, you're so nice, you're so kind, you're so smart, and you're this, you're that. And obviously they're fans, so they would think that, but they're like, you got me to want to get into this space. And if I can be like a trailblazer, if I could be one of the first like reasonably, because I don't think I'm huge. I'm like a middle-sized content creator.
Successful though. You've done really well. You got a play button. That's awesome.
Well, I appreciate you. I'm in the grand scheme. I'm not anything too crazy, but like
I get that, but I get staying humble. But also, hey, you're doing good.
I
I think
appreciate
that's a
you.
good thing. I mean, a play button is that's fucking great. So
Yeah.
not to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just that when I was recording some of the things that I said about them, like in my head, I thought about like those other smaller black creators, and I was like, or like aspiring creators, and I was like, I can't do that. I can't respond like they do because I don't want them to think that this is like an appropriate way necessarily to act because
Mhm.
because I know they're going to use it as an example because I'm one of the only like people that they can pull from in this situation. So I had to tone it back and bite my tongue on a lot of things, and I still haven't even in this conversation I have as well. Because honestly, some of the things I was going to say we're going to get the video demonetized, and I was perfectly fine with that. But I decided to pull back a lot on some things because it's just I know they're going to look at it and then be like, this is something that we can just do or act like because I am one of the only and or the biggest, like I am the biggest black creator in this space. And so if I'm going to have to, no matter if I like it or not, I'm going to have to set an example for them. And so I decided to tone it down and be more respectful and be more calm with everything, even though I was on fire the entire time. And honestly, I still am. And it's
And
just,
I do feel like I
and it
do
just
feel
sucks.
like I'm comfortable saying like I don't think that there's been an eh, I don't think that that type of restraint has been shown towards you. I've seen so much stuff that's been directed at you that I would categorize as just next level hurtful things that
Yeah, like one
I
of the
would.
things I brought up is like I didn't even mention it too much because they didn't even know about it that much because I deleted it. I there was this one person online who was like who was trying to like co-op us, like trying to make it more known about what happened with Eden,
Mhm.
and was like making a bunch of like really terrible, hurtful, like even transphobic comments. And
Mhm.
I shot back and I said, you need, I called her a niggerita, if I'm going to be honest. And I said it because it was, for one, I said it because it was a funny word. If I'm going to be honest with you. And I'd say it again. I don't think it's like a slur, honestly. And it was just funny. But I deleted it, and the reason why I deleted it, not because I didn't agree with it. If we're gonna pull a soul bunny here, I didn't delete it not because I disagreed with it. I deleted it actually because I didn't want other like white people to like it, thinking that that's an okay thing to say. Honestly, I didn't want them to co-sign. I didn't like the idea of like just random white other people, creators, viewers, followers, like liking that and being able to co-sign it because I don't think that that's something that they should co-sign. And so I deleted the tweet. But their tweets
If I
about
could
like,
take a moment here real quick
go ahead.
just to for pure fairness's sake, when I pushed back on some of the things that that Soul Bunny had said about you, I wanted to give her the opportunity to describe her reasoning for saying something so harsh. Do you mind giving me your reasoning for why you would say something so harsh?
Yeah,
This meme
because
is very real.
they were trying to move attention away from co-op and discourage people from talking about Eden's murder and taking air out of the room for that, and basically saying that people who are continuing to advocate for knowing about what happened to her in this way are a detriment to like other trans people, black people, things along those lines. So that's why I said what I said. Now, other people, now you can disagree with what was
For
said. I don't
just real
remember
quick,
exactly what was said,
uh,
if I'm going to be honest with you.
just so I can give some context to the people in chat who may not be familiar with this, Eden was a trans woman who was trafficked and then committed suicide, who was friends with a lot of people in these spaces. To my knowledge, she was not a like a content creator. She was somebody who just had a lot of friends in these places, in these sort of social circles, and it was an incredibly um, horrific and tragic incident, and it involved some very powerful and rich family members hiring a firm that is more or less designed to harass and surveil someone so that they cannot transition. It was a really horrible situation, and I don't think there's any ambiguity about that. I just wanted to provide that context so people knew what you were talking, what you're talking about when you refer to that situation.
Sure, no
Um,
problem. It's good context. for some people who don't know. So yeah, if I'm going to be honest with you, I spoke out of anger, and I don't like tweeting out of anger. So I deleted it for two reasons. One, because I spoke of it out of anger, and two, I spoke in a way that is just like a black person to a black person, that I, in a way that I don't want other like people to co-sign and think that that's okay to use, to think that that's okay for something for them to say. If I can say something on my stream and then just say it, then it's just my words. But when it comes to like a tweet or something, then they can like it or co-sign it, and then I have people thinking about whether they should or shouldn't like it. I don't think they should, so I deleted it. And I didn't, and also I kind of didn't want like more stuff to go to more people, like look at their shit and go to them and stuff like that. So so that's the reason. That's the reason why. I just thought it was, I don't know, I just thought it was sick. If I'm going to be honest with you, I was just angry, and I thought it was sick. So I said it. But yeah, I deleted it because I didn't want that to happen. But they didn't delete any of their stuff because they truly believe it, and they're perfectly fine with people like Jesse co-signing, calling me the C word, and basically a race traitor, and a tap dancing monkey for BreadTube.
I definitely
basically
find,
and I just think it's
that to be an incredibly toxic dynamic that's going on here, that I find wildly at odds with other things that have been said by people, by Jesse Gender specifically, and by other people who tend to work with Jesse Gender. I feel like it goes against what they tend to generally make arguments for. I find it really odd. And that's something I found continually odd is this constant justification. I mean, even when I now look, I can acknowledge completely. Obviously, the color of my skin is not exactly invisible to people. I don't make that a secret, so I don't really have any sort of life experience when it comes to slurs like the C slur or anything.
You're
like
white
that
Hispanic. It's okay.
Yeah. but when I hear stuff like that, I think I can understand, at least even from an outside perspective, I can understand why a word like that would be very hurtful. And I believe, and I have seen, and I actually, believe it or not, cards on the table here, a couple of years ago, a very similar discourse to this sprouted up around another content creator in the debate space at the time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time naming names. And a very similar discourse around the C slur specifically came up. And I spent a lot of time listening to different perspectives on that, and hearing how people felt about it. And I just don't believe the idea when people tell me, oh, well, everybody feels, every black person thinks it's okay, because that's not what I've seen. I've listened and heard that is not the case. And also the meaning of the word to me does not sound like something that everyone would be okay with. And when I try to compare a parallel experience to me, there are all kinds of slurs for trans people, and I don't use any of them for anybody else. I don't even use the more acceptable ones.
I'll be shouting you all out at the end of this.
I've said this before. I call myself anybody.
I'm on Twitch.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I didn't know that was a problem on Twitch. It's self-referential, right?
You can't say that. No, you can't say that either.
I did not know that.
You may have been able to say maybe with an A or O sound on the end, but I can't say the hard R here. Either.
I'm so sorry. I did not realize that. That is my bad. And
it's okay.
I hope I don't hurt you.
I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I'm recording this, so if anything happens, I'll still have it. But we'll see.
I apologize. It was self-referential. Purely when I was last streaming on Twitch, that was okay. I did not get in trouble when I used to do that. I'm very sorry.
We'll see. It's okay. When FD came on my stream, he said the N-word hard R, so it happens.
Okay, well, I'm really sorry about that, and
the stream is slur soaked.
Please, I'm sorry about that.
Dude, please, but let me go.
But yeah. What I was gonna say is I would never. I don't use that for other people. I can because I can understand even heavily reclaimed words sometimes don't fly. Words like queer, which is generally accepted now, there are still people who don't feel well with that. And if they ask me, with that one, it's so reclaimed that I'm fine with using it most of the time. But if somebody were to say, hey, I don't feel great about that word, I would say, I'm sorry, I'll make sure I don't use that. And that's with a word that hasn't had a negative connotation for a very long time, and has been very reclaimed. So I don't know, and just so I find it so odd that there's like such a resistance to like you saying, "Hey, that's too fucking far.
This
That's
meme is very real.
hurtful and harsh and ridiculous." And I think it's weird that there's such a defensiveness when, even if it's not yourself, but people who view you say, "Hey, that's fucking really harsh to say to somebody else." I find it weird that there's such a pushback to that because it seems to me like there's just a willingness to bend over backwards to justify such a harsh term, such a loaded term that has such a history.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they care. I think they just like hurting people, and if and the funnier they can hurt somebody, the funnier it is, and the more they hurt, the more they try and hurt you, the more justified they are. I think that's just it. I think it's same. It's just monsters. At the end of the day, like moving forward, honestly, I think I think just going just straight up no contact is probably the safest situation with everything. Not allowing them to like talk back and forth, not allowing them to like reach out to me because like I view all of these people simply as bullies, and the number one thing that bullies want is to have access to their victims, and so if I could just cut off all contact, there's less issues between me and them, and the more I think they could probably spend time using it in ways that are beneficial towards like the left and making people's lives better, and less screeching about how I like 2 years ago said I disagreed with this one half black person this one time over one video, honestly. And I just think that's probably the best thing. And I know, and I know you've spoken to like some of these people. I know you're like cordial with Joe, and I know you're cordial with Soul
Yeah.
Bunny. So yeah, once again, I don't need you to distance yourself from anybody. Just for me personally, it just seems like I don't think they can.
But
I don't think they can act normally around me. So maybe like around you or other people they can act normally around, but I don't think they can act normally around me. So I have to I
that's
have to
unfortunate.
cut off communication there. And once again, it is
And I
sad
should be
because
clear again. My goal has never been to try and encourage you to you or anyone, Soul Bunny or you or anyone I've talked to about in this to like encourage you to have contact with people who you don't feel good about. That's not my goal.
Oh yeah, I just
You
mean
know,
you. Like
yeah.
like I don't want people to think that I'm trying to get you to stop talking to
No,
anybody
I mean,
specifically.
I don't really play that kind of game. I mean, I said pretty clearly to Soul Bunny, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who don't like me, and I've been blocked by some of the people who are associated with promoting these videos and stuff with really no reason, even though I had previously good engagements with them. I know that there are people who do not like me and who will not engage with me simply because I don't play the game of like the association game. I don't. I mean, I'm real world friends with Vosh. I've criticized Vosh in the past, and I'm still friends with him. And a lot of people have been very angry about me with that. There was as we all know, with Vosh, there's a whole thing. There's a whole history of people who don't like Vosh and are very vocal about it and will not associate with anyone who associates with him. And I don't care. If those people are not the type of people that I'm trying to attract to my project, I don't care if people are like, I don't know. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't really do that type of shit. So you don't got to worry about that.
Sure. Yeah.
I can
Yeah. It's
understand why
just
you wouldn't want to talk with any of them, and I completely get that. And I mean, I've had good conversation. I've had two what I would consider friendly conversations with Soul Bunny, but I don't really know Soul Bunny that well. We're not like friends or anything. We've just talked on one occasion a long time ago and one more recently. I do have a history with Joe. I've talked with Joe for a long time, and it's a shame that you two don't get along, but that happens.
yeah. He said I was anti-black because I said that black people don't really like the hood that much. After Endless Cemetery said that black people actually love the hood, um, and shit like that. Also, he took out of context me giving an example of how if I said that all of these things that are typically associated with like gang or sorry, if all these things that are typically associated with like hood or ghetto black culture was like, and I said that I didn't, if I gave the example, sorry, if I said hypothetically that I wouldn't want my family members to end or my children to end up like this, I think that would be racist. He would say, like it was an example to like that tweet that was like, I don't want my family to end up like this, and it's like a black guy who had a loving relationship with a white woman, and then they had children, and
I
then
remember
the
that.
kid
I
was
remember
slightly
that
lighter.
whole.
Yeah.
I think I reacted to your conversation with Endless Cemeteries on that. Um,
Yeah, but you call me
I don't
anti-black
believe
for that shit.
cards on the
But
table. I think Endless Cemetery really doesn't like me. I've been blocked for a while. Um, I mean, I could talk about what got me blocked. It was.
I mean,
But I,
honestly, I think like creatures of the night don't like the light, so it makes a lot of sense. I think roaches, once you flick on the light in the kitchen, crawl back under the fridge. So it makes a lot of sense why, personally.
well, I mean, I can't go that far. I don't have the same history with him that you do, but I just know he doesn't. I know he's not. I know he wasn't pleased with me, and I don't feel the reason was very fair personally. But whatever. People got their reasons, so you know. Um, but yeah.
It's just wild stuff, and I don't know. Yeah, just like the conversation you had, like really sparked my interest in talking about this again, because I personally, like, after I dropped my video and everything, I kind of separated myself from everything. I stopped talking about it. I did like a little like 30-minute speech a little bit on and answering some questions afterwards, in like the comment section of the video and on stream a little bit, but I've never really opened up about this too much. And so I
Yeah.
thought it would be a good opportunity. And also if you have any other questions like for me about anything, let me know. And I did also want to answer any questions from your community, and I guess mine as well, for
Yeah.
this, because they
I
haven't
mean, I
had
can
the opportunity to
absolutely
really
bring
ask me
forward
anything.
some questions from the community. But I mean, also, I just want to make sure we've talked about everything that you wanted to talk about.
Oh sure,
On
we
this
don't have to
topic.
end here. I was just saying, because I
Oh
never
yeah, okay.
got to tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've also been, I from my perspective in this, I'd never planned to have a conversation with Soul Bunny. It just happened. I was reacting to the Foreign Man video, and the reason why I even chose to react was because I had taken a really long sort of break between my streams because I did like a crazy long stream, and
Mm-hmm.
my timeline across multiple websites was full of this video and people talking about this video. And when I looked into like the basic, gist of the video, I was like, oh my god, we're relitigating noodle stuff. And then I heard that there was a joke made against you, and I'm like, oh my god, we're doing this again. And so I just kept my eye on it for a couple days, and there were so many people talking about it. And when I say on both sides here, I'm not like I don't mean it in the same way. Like I'm not trying to say who was
Yeah.
being more toxic or not.
No, it's okay. When something,
I saw debate people talking about it. I saw all of the people that I still follow and who still talk to me and whatever in the video essayist kind of sphere, which I admittedly a lot of them don't talk to me anymore, even if they haven't explicitly said they don't like me.
yeah, when videos
Whatever.
like that pop up, it's either really important or absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
When everyone's talking about a video, it's either it means it's really important for us all to know a little something about this, or it's super interesting, or it's absolutely nothing and it's just like drama fodder.
And I was
It's more flies for the drama
like 9
frogs.
days. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it was 9 days after that I
yeah,
finally reacted to it. When I got to it, I was just like, I felt terrible about the video. I felt like it was, I mean, I was very vocal with my critiques, and I'm perfectly fine with stating them again here. I felt like now the title has been changed, which I can't help but feel was in reaction to I made that critique the day before it got changed, or rather, my video went live the day that it got changed, which was this idea that like this is a video that's titled "When You're Racist but Queer," but almost none of the examples of people, except for an interpersonal beef with Vosh and Keffels, were queer people. There was like one, I think it was Jussie Smollett, and maybe you could say Ellen DeGeneres, slightly, but almost nothing was said about Ellen DeGeneres. Almost all of the rest of the people were straight people.
it's almost like
And
nothing was ever said at all in that video. It's crazy.
it was definitely very weird. The evidence was very light for accusations that were made. Keffels was it was implied to be and heavily I mean, was called racist. And the only evidence that was shown on screen was unrelated to allegations of racism, was something about noodles, which I think is completely absurd. And I think anybody in their right mind, I don't care who you are. Anybody in their right
Oh, do
mind
you
should
know
know
about that
that fucking
situation?
bullshit is bullshit. Of course I do. Yeah, I've had
Shit is
yeah,
hilarious.
it's insane. It's ridiculous. It's absurd, and
Oh yeah,
it's
for
the
the
one
people
that
who
I've.
don't know, wait, super quick. For the people who don't know, basically what happened is that there was this I think Vietnamese girl who said that this white woman who went to China to learn how to make noodles from professional like noodle making chefs in Beijing. She was learning how to make like bang bang mian or something. Filipino. Yeah, this Filipino girl got mad at a white woman from America about going to China to learn how to make bang bang mian. And writing a book about it, and then Keffels, a Canadian woman, it was like that's actually fine because the noodles taste good and it's perfectly okay. And then the girl was like, "You're racist." Also, I don't even like Chinese food, and it's just crazy to me how I actually, if I'm gonna be honest, like here's my hot take. Here's my hot take, Miss Demon Mama. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I think this shit's racist. I think it's racist on their end for all of this stuff. And the reason being is because they try to hold up this girl and her opinion, her Filipino self as like a stand-in for actual Chinese people. Like for some reason a Filipino has any word on what like on Chinese culture at all, especially when she doesn't never been to China and doesn't even like Chinese food. Shit sounds racist as fuck. Like can you imagine like a Japanese person being talked to like talking about how other people are being racist about Korean things and they don't even know anything that they're talking about and then being held up as some sort of like bulwark? There's no reason that she knows anything more about Chinese culture than like some Canadian the woman does. If I'm going to be honest with you, just because they're in like similar areas doesn't mean shit.
I that is definitely a hot take. I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I don't know if I'd go that far, but especially because I think that the person who did the original post, like, if I'm not mistaken, like said, "Oh, I can't believe that that my shit post went this viral." So as I understand it, it was like it was a shit.
It was a meme that they took up, and they have no way to speak on Chinese people, and then they ran with it as like genuine racism. I can't. I'm telling you, these people are monsters. They're creatures. They're animals. They're freaks. They're troglodytes. And I hate them, and they only care about hurting other people. I think there's two things. Okay, I think they're either stupid or evil, and it's one of the two. And I think we like to say people are stupid because it's an easy cop out, but I think somebody not knowing what they're doing and just being stupid is like, it's way too much of they're giving them way too much credit. I think they're evil. I think these are bad people. I don't think
any of the people that we've talked about here are stupid. I don't. So
you're right. So I think they're evil. Yeah. But you have your own opinion.
I mean, I think that I don't want to believe that everybody's evil, but I can completely understand where you're coming from with that, especially because I have not, for the most part, been the target of their ire as of yet. That may change. I've certainly caught a couple of mysterious blocks that I was just like, what the fuck's going on here? Why is this? And I have caught the ire of other people at various times. But most of the people involved in this, I have no direct like interpersonal beef with. And that doesn't mean that I don't think that a lot of the things that they've done here are bad. Like, I mean, I do think it's fucking weird. I think it's fucking weird and toxic, like I mentioned, to like boost the shit out of a video that's just going hard on somebody that you just don't like, but while framing it as some sort of like political act or a great act of community. I think that's very misleading. I think it's toxic as fuck. I think it's a really, really shitty behavior. I hope that it's a matter of bad space habits that can be fixed, that people can move away from, that people can change, that it doesn't keep going on. But maybe it's not. I know that
I think at this point,
I've lived through the death of a space before. I've lived through the total death of a space. And I know that sometimes that's the only thing that can happen. Sometimes a space gets so toxic that there's nothing to do but the space die. That's it. But I like to believe that maybe that's not the case.
I think that just what I think when they and they've done, and you've probably seen this as well, okay? When they're like, oh, this bread tube space, this debate bro space is so terrible. They have terrible people like Vosh and Xander Hall, and they're all evil. And that's the only people they mention, right? And now it's Keffels. Yeah. So now it's Vosh.
Now Keffels is the new one.
Yeah. Now it's like Vosh, Zan, and Keffels, and that's the only people who are here. And that's the only people who they care about. And then like everybody else is just like fodder and they're little tap dancing monkeys who nobody cares about at like the end of the day, and that's basically it. And it's just
I
I don't
find
know,
the
it's just
fixation
sick.
on Xanderhal to be very weird too, and I've talked about this before. When I talked about DJ Mule's video on Xanderhal, which was disgusting, it was pathetic, it was a complete and utter hit piece that was full of lies and statements that are so insanely hypocritical, that this was made from some guy who was trying to like tout on social justice topics, and then was basic and then said, why don't you just have makeup sex with your abuser? Yeah, insane, an insane level. And of course,
Forgot about that.
boosted by a lot of boosted by a lot of this. I mean, a lot of the same people we've been talking about today.
I think that's my black pill. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even think them like saying stuff about me was my black pill. I think them saying like, why don't you have makeup sex with somebody who has allegedly abused you, stolen money, and also like done this, that, and the third. And them clapping like seals. About it.
I
think
didn't understand it. I couldn't square it in my head with how people could watch that and
They're
feel
monsters.
like it was appropriate or good. And I don't and maybe you're right. Maybe
Viewer beware,
right.
You're in for a scare. All of these people would show up in a Goosebumps volume, honestly. But I'm being a little hyperbolic, but I do think they're uncouth and unscrupulous, personally.
I think I find the grudge holding, and I don't know where that came from, because DJ Mule had no beef with Xanderhal. DJ Mule had just appeared on the street on the scene, as far as I'm concerned. He had a tiny little channel, and he decided to make this video that was just so out of line. It was so ridiculous, and it got boosted by a bunch of other people who, to my knowledge, also don't have any sort of direct interpersonal beef with Xanderhal. It just feels like they felt like he was a target they could gang up on, and I don't get it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't agree with everything that Xan has said. Me and Xan have had, like, again, another person who I'm more than willing to criticize and have been willing to criticize. But my conversation with Xanderhal, there was this one time. I'm just going to tell a short Xanderhal story for a second here. I've told this one before. This was years ago. Some of the people in my audience, maybe even some people in your audience, will remember it. Xan was having an issue. There was some drama in his community around trans people. He had made a mistake. And somebody had gotten at him. He got really really pissed about it. And I said, all right, Xan, let me talk with you about it. And we sat down and we had a talk about it. And I basically gave him this thing where I said, I understand that there were people in your chat who were being pieces of shit. Block those pieces of shit. But don't let yourself get so mad that you end up saying you're going to do a community purge, because trans people online don't find a lot of places where they feel comfortable. And a lot of trans people have chosen your community because they feel comfortable there. You should respect that part and keep your anger directed at the people who were being shitty, and don't do this like purge, grandstanding shit. And he fucking listened to me. He listened to me hardcore, and that was great, and it was awesome, and it was a cool thing. And nobody ever fucking talks about that incident. They don't ever talk about the fact that Xanderhal has a history of actually learning about subjects, actually improving on subjects, even if he can be a hothead, even if sometimes he says shit that's out of pocket, just like basically anybody else. They don't ever talk about that. Instead, there's been this burning hatred of Xanderhal for years now, and I just don't get it. I don't understand it, and I don't mean to derail into Xanderhal. I just think it's an example of just like, where the fuck does this shit come from and why?
No, so
I hate it. I think it's toxic. And again, Keffels has joined it, and they've been bringing up you, and I don't know. I don't understand this.
No, in like cartoons, when a sweater has like a loose thread and you pull on it and they like just pull off the entire sweater. I think that's basically it. I don't think they care. I also think that they're Soul Bunny and the rest of them, the rest of that troop, I think they're everything that they claim not to be, and I think they're everything that they say that they hate. Because I've never thrown out an entire person's personality or being because of just because of like a disagreement that I've had with them politically, like whether it is Cat or Flowers or anybody. Honestly, I had disagreements with FD and other people, and honestly, I didn't even though I did think that he was pro miscegenation, sorry, pro anti-miscegenation, or even though I thought he was anti-miscegenation, right? I didn't even like throw out Endless Cemetery. He kept like, he always tweets at me, and he just like he always tweets at me, and I just muted him to stop him from like from me being able to see any of his stuff. But they do exactly that. So Bunny came on and said that she hates the idea of people continuing things that are already done, while she brings up 2-year-old drama to try to claim that I'm like a I'm a like anti-black race traitor. They try to say all these things as they bring up like things that are multiple years old that are already done with, because they got on the scene, so they're new to them. They're the ones who bring up their entire troop of flying monkeys to try to take down other people who they don't like. It's just, at the end of the day, I really think that they're the people who they say that they hate, because they come on and they'll say all of these things 24/7 about things that we've done wrong. But honestly, like, this community is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination at all.
Of course not.
But like, some of the things that I've seen from these people, I have thoroughly reprimanded and some of you all in chat remember, I have thoroughly reprimanded my chat for the way that they've treated, the way of some of them have treated other people who we've spoken about, talked about on stream. I've called out people. I've stopped them. I've handed down like bans or temps for like bad shit that they said that I didn't like. If I'm having a disagreement with somebody, you can even see in some of the disagreements that I have, some people I'll see like will comment on me and then will like hop off of it and then go even further and say something even worse. Right. I think when I was having my disagreement with those random like femcel Twitter women, on like you know, dating and stuff like that, I think somebody said something that I think was misogynistic, and I said, hey, don't do that. And the response to them when they saw me telling somebody to stop was going and making fun of me and saying, guys, stop, you're making me look bad, the optics of this is terrible. When I never said anything about optics, I just said this is bad, stop, don't say it. I don't think they care. I think they just I think they're just people who like the idea of finding anything and then just running with it, no matter who they are, no matter what they are, for money, clout, fame, and because they are just bullies. There's no difference between them and like this is our cringe and Negro pilled delightful kids from down the lane who are attached by the hip and walk around and just cause trouble for our codename kids next door for no other reason but because they can. They're our villains, and I think it's time to just, for me personally, just separate ourselves from them. I'm tired of the delightful kids from down the lane. Okay, I'm not sure who the father is, but I think we're gonna figure out at some point in time. And I'm just sick of it. I'm tired.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the sort of the hypocrisy element, I can't help but just remember the end of the Foreign Man video that I reacted to the other day, which ended with Jesse Gender, Swolsome, I think his name was, and Foreign Man himself, all talking about how they feel like queer people aren't allowed to make mistakes. Queer people aren't allowed to do something wrong and find forgiveness and bounce back from it. All in a video where they ragged the hell out of Keffels and
Curious,
other people.
Curious,
yeah,
isn't it?
I found that very
strange,
on
isn't
the
it?
nose.
You know,
it is strange.
when my whole thing was going down,
I don't appreciate, and I hate it. I hate that type of again, this is that thing that I'm talking about where nothing can be the messages that are present in these videos, which there are some varying degrees. There is usually at least something to grab onto in some of these videos, gets undercut by the fact that it's being weaponized in this extremely personal, extremely hurtful struggle between ego figures that doesn't make sense to, I don't think, anybody outside of the core fan base that has been like sort of bombarded with the lore. It's toxic.
Yeah, when my drama was going down, I remember I wasn't the one who was like denied a private conversation. Like, I think I reached out to a couple of them and I was like, hey, if you want to talk, you can. And all I got back was venom. And that's like basically it. I could have, like, I have a bigger account than like a lot of these people. I could just like try to end their career. I could try to chase them off of the internet. I could try to just like obliterate them. I could act the same way they did. And the problem with them is honestly, they're lucky that I'm like a good person, because not only would I'm in my heart. Like, oh my gosh, is your camera okay?
Oh, was it freaking out? I'm sorry.
It's going crazy.
Sorry about that. Let me,
nah, you're fine. It's just that was really funny. The demon mama turned into block.
Hopefully that fixes it.
Being sent into the pixel dimension. But like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Sometimes when a call's been going for a long time, it will glitch out because the little capture card heats up. So
it threw me off my train of thought. So Discord is ableist because it acted up on my ADHD. Discord I found it again. I found it again. When I could have just, because people say that I'm like nice and level headed. I'm going to tell you now, like, I got demons in my head. And like, you know how it's like the thing where it's like, oh, an angel and a devil on your shoulder. I have two devils, one that's worse and one that's even worse than that. And like, they're always telling, I got the snail in my ear telling me to reach for the officer's pistol, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I was about to, if I'm going to be honest with you, I was going to like go completely scorched earth. I was going to do something insane. But I don't know. I just thought like, once again, I'm going to be a role model for like other smaller like Black creators who come up on the scene. And I don't like the idea. And they're left wing at the end of the day. And I just like, is it really worth doing all that? And I decided that it probably wasn't, even though it would feel good in the moment. I think I'll feel better about the way that I acted with all of this over time.
I think it's a wiser move. I mean, first of all, I don't know, like destroying people on the internet is a pretty hard thing to do. Usually it wasn't that.
If I'm going to be completely honest with you, my plan was like
I do think it's good.
My plan was to form a harassment campaign against them and make their lives a living hell every time they opened up their phone. That was like the main thing, honestly. But I decided
definitely not advisable. I think
I didn't want to. That was like I had the thought. I wasn't like planning to do it, but I had the thought.
My friend.
Yeah, I had the thought in my head. I saw the splitting paths, and it was like the Disney castle and like the Doofenshmirtz tower with like the lightning coming down, and I took one step in like the evil direction. I decided to turn around down the other the other end. But yeah, it's just
because I do think that there's a lot of people who have chosen the dark castle.
Yeah, like it's so easy. That's when I realized that it was so easy. I never understood how easy it was to just become evil until that moment happened, and I was like, it's so tempting to be evil online. I'm glad that I decided not to.
And that's kind of one of the things that I've been trying to I don't know, maybe get the shape of in this particular drama is the thing that makes it easy to be so evil online. It's like I think there are incentive structures that exist, and I do think that one of them is like boosting every hate video that hits the people that you don't like, regardless of how ridiculous the accusations are.
And people and your audience will always reward you for being more harsh and cruel to somebody else than being nice and tempered. Like I noticed that tweets that I did where I even just like let out like a little bit of steam on them. Like those tweets did way better than me being like, excuse me, sir, I think that you need to watch your tone. This isn't the type of venue where we need to be doing this type of stuff. And everyone's like, boring, kill him. They were like, kill him.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, the blood hunger, but the thing is, and this is something I always bring attention to. I brought this up when I was talking to Keffels the other day, is that everybody talks about the like immediate rewards that you get from platforms for doing the drama content, for doing the mean shit, for doing the like go as hard as possible, as loud as possible. These are spectacle rewarding machines that we, YouTube and Twitter especially and Twitch, all of these are spectacle machines. They fuel off of that. But there's another side of it, which is that that type of stuff is not sustainable. People only have so much energy for it. And so yeah, you might get a boost. You might get a couple extra views. You might get some extra money by getting super mad. But if it's not worth it, you're burning up your emotional bandwidth, other people's emotional bandwidth, and you're burning up the patience of the space as a whole. People can only take so much of it, and it does
And there's like
burn out.
real
It doesn't have
problems going
returns.
on that we're supposed to be making videos and talking about. And like none of this is that big
Ostensibly,
on the
yeah.
grand scheme of things. And like I mean I don't know, it just showed proof that like just being terrible doesn't seem to work out for you. I mean DJ Mule had to actually get a real job, so it seemed like that type of like the people
DJ
who
Mule
come in and
destroyed
do
himself, for
yeah
sure.
the people who come in and let like their anger and they'll let their anger and their suffering like take over and then just start the sock puppet that holds all the bad views that you don't want to say. You let them start
Yeah.
talking too much, and you let them just go forward and do whatever they want. It starts to come back on you. And so like I'm being a little hyperbolic. I never actually wanted to make a campaign to like destroy someone, but I did want to shoot back with more fire, and I'm glad that I didn't.
I
And
get what you're
and
saying. I
moving
get what you're
forward,
getting at. I didn't think you were saying you were literally going to do
I think
that.
they wanted to do a
I hope
harassment
not.
campaign and did it on me personally, but
I do think that there has been at least some people who have been engaged in what I would consider to be some sort of harassment campaign against you, in my opinion. That's from my read of it. People where it's sort of sustained, perpetuated, constantly reawakening with the goal of doing long-term harm. I think that I don't know if I could say that about every person who's been involved in this, but I do think that some of the people involved have aimed for that sort of thing.
just be
Especially when, I
minding my own
mean,
business and then just crazy stuff happens. The same thing happens to you. It's just wild. Internet is
that's
wild.
something that came up in the foreign man video. There was this discussion of saying like, well, I don't think,
Shut up, Argo.
I think people need to be held accountable, and that doesn't mean, it means that they don't always deserve or are entitled to a platform. So for a lot of people, there is this discussion of like damaging or removing, even if it's sort of danced around. There is this implication of that we want to do damage to this person's ability to make a living. Which, for
Mhm.
the record, just so that everyone here is clear, I think that there are valid times to deplatform somebody. I've been very vocal about me thinking that people, I can name names: Steven Crowder, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles. I think these are people who are
True.
pushing for a genocide, who do not deserve to have a platform and who should be deplatformed, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And but I just don't think
I think it's a really
I
good
don't think
one
that applies
personally.
to everybody you don't like.
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a really good opinion, honestly. Like all of these types of people who are very clearly breaking TOS and literally making hate campaigns against other
Yeah.
people. I think anybody who engaged in like that campaign against Dylan Mulvaney should be like just jettisoned from the internet. Like they should have their like internet taken away for at least like 3 years for it to figure.
Yeah,
Like their internet should be canceled until like we figure out what's going on. Because like there's something wrong. I was not going to say executed. I was going to say expelled. Okay.
Or excised, maybe. Yeah.
Excise.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I'm not some sort of like anti deplatforming person. I just think it's crazy when the conversation starts to be like that over things like noodles or over the vague allegation of Candace Owens tactics that don't really have any actual hard evidence for that.
Do you have a favorite
Or
noodle?
do I have a favorite noodle?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'll let you
Oh
choose
God.
noodle and pasta. I won't call you racist.
Cavicapi. Oh, that's not a noodle, is it? Cavicapi.
Are you?
Is it Cavicapi?
I think
Is that what it's called?
I know like the really long swirly macaroni.
Yeah, Cavatapi. I really
There
like
you go.
Cavatapi.
That's a good one.
That is both a noodle and a pasta. And I also really like there's little ear pasta. It's called, what are they called? I can't remember their
Ripperoni.
oreschiette.
Okay.
Oreschiette. It's like it's like a little cup-shaped noodle that has like a little fatter spot in the middle. They're called like little ear noodles, and
That's
love
really
those. I
cute.
think those are really good. I don't think that's a noodle. I think that's just a pasta, actually, because it's not actually noodle shaped. And I mean, I ordered lo mein today, and it was great.
Ooh.
So
Was it tasty?
I guess, yeah, it was delicious.
That's amazing. I'm
I had a
happy
really
for
good
you.
time. And so I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to restate myself too much. I
Yeah,
just feel like the scope has gotten out of hand. People are clearly getting hurt, and I think it's hurting the space as a whole. And I think that it's that 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 people need to wake up a little bit and to step back and think about whether or not this shit is productive, useful, if it's truthful more than anything,
yeah.
I think would be pretty important.
I think yeah,
Um, yeah,
I think I want to cut contact with more people sooner, honestly.
yeah,
Cuz I think I think rebuilding a relationship from you said something insane and I just instantly blocked you
yeah,
is better than we had an insane conversation where we went back and forth on insane shit for 2 hours. You know?
mhm,
I think you can pull more stuff from that. I'm in the
yeah,
I'm in the park of I want to use my block button much more, not only as like a defensive measure for myself, but I want to use it for them because I think like I can control myself, but I don't know if anybody on the internet, random person on the internet, really can. So I think just like protecting themselves, protecting them from themselves by like putting them in a padded room, like away from me, or putting like a padded wall in between, not just like a normal brick wall, a padded one. So when they like try to knock their forehead against it, they don't like give themselves a concussion. It's just like I think is the best thing forward because if we could just like if talking to each other leads to this issue, I'd much rather never speak to you again and just have you like do your own thing, making your own content with your little Patreon subs, and for me to like have a good time and like talk about what I talk about with my own subs because I remember back like through this after all everything happened, I remembered back when I was at the like BLM protest for Breonna Taylor in Louisville because I'm in Kentucky,
mhm,
right? So it is a
mhm,
really local thing. I remember when I was there, I got like a pretty good seat and well, I got a pretty good place to stand in the crowd and everything. I remember how one of the people who drove down, one of the activists that drove down, grabbed the mic and they were talking to the crowd about what it means to be an activist and everything. And they said, look to your left, look to your right. You may know these people, you may not know them, you may love them, you may hate them. And at
yeah,
the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you don't have to like the people, you don't have to love the people who you do advocacy with. You don't even have to like them. You could hate each other, but it's not about, but it's more, but what we're doing is greater than you. It's greater than any like interpersonal drama that you have going on. Is greater than any like issue that you have going on. And we're here for like a greater cause and a greater purpose. And I think like if we can't make amends, I think I'd rather um nothing to be spoken with at all. If we can't just
yeah.
like
I
bury
think
the
that makes
hatchet, I
sense.
would rather make like
Yeah.
a anti-hatchet barrier around me and then just walk away.
Yeah, I completely understand that, and I mean that's an experience I personally have had with a space, the debate space where I said I'm done with this shit. I'm done with this fucking nightmare. The Twitch debate space. That was back when I streamed on Twitch before I went to YouTube. I'm done with this fucking shit. This shit is just endlessly toxic. It's not fun anymore. Um, there was a continual problem of me getting tokenized in the sense that the only emails I would ever get anymore was just people wanting me to come onto a panel where the opposition was you're not a human, you're not a real like being, like
That
trans
is true.
people are liars and you're not a real woman and all this shit. And I said I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm done with this shit. And as it turns out, I ended up maintaining some connections with people where the connection was, the relationship was strong enough to survive that anyway. So I do think that that's a valid option in a lot of cases. And I mean, God knows that I've had my fair share of just saying, all right, you don't like me, fuck off then, whatever. I mean, I've been trying to figure out what bridges can be built in the space that currently exists and whether a new space, a healthier space, is even possible. And I think sometimes you might be right. I think sometimes there are just those the door just has to be closed for everyone's well-being. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do think that's a better option, and I wish a lot of people would choose that option before engaging in these long, drawn out, obnoxious, painful drama sessions. But there is always that blood incentive in these spaces
Oh yeah,
to
when
say the most
there always
shocking
is.
thing you can.
There
Yeah.
always is. You'll always be rewarded for it. I'll tell you that much. I mean, I'm thankful because like I'm thankful for my community. I think I've built like a pretty decent community out here, and your community is pretty cute too.
Well, thank you.
There, yeah. I
We're a
think
little
I've.
smaller. We're a little smaller. A little
Um,
smaller than your
you have a
community.
larger stream.
I'm at like 25.
Yeah, you have a
Okay.
larger stream community than me.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that true?
Yeah. I don't have a really, I don't have a really big stream community. I have a relatively decent size like YouTube community, but a stream community.
I was
The stream
gonna say, you
community
got
is
a
much
good amount of
smaller.
YouTube followers.
Yeah,
Your videos
yeah.
do great on YouTube. I've seen those before.
Oh, they're all right. I appreciate it. You flatter me.
Oh,
But
you
flatter
got the play button, my friend.
I do have
I
the
don't
play
got one.
button. You flatter the girls. The girls do good work. My editors do good work. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's probably like the best. I just want to move forward without like this insane stuff going on because I've thankfully been I can't call it anything other than like blessed with having just like a reasonably like problem free rise when it comes to content. Honestly, like for the most people, like a lot of people are genuinely like reach out to me all the time and they're like shocked about how I've been in so little drama. I guess I think I think one of the big reasons why is because I tend to disengage way quicker than a lot of other people do. Because I had the option to to go on and have like a kerfuffle with Destiny and go on and have a kerfuffle with I think Nick Fuentes as well. I've been offered a debate with Nick Fuentes I think a couple of times. And that like weirdo Jesse guy and like some other things as well. I've had conversations more in private than anything, but I just think it's probably for the best to just like cut and just like move on more than anything else. I think it's also like a product a little bit recently of it's a little bit like just like how I was raised and a little bit of my nature as well, but I think it came from not the trauma dump. When I started streaming, I actually figured out that I had an anxiety disorder. My parents handed down to me an anxiety disorder, and so I had like my first panic attack on a debate panel with Caitlin Boroshenko. Caitlin,
oh my god,
yeah, Caitlin like Kaplunko or whatever her name is. Yeah, Caitlin Pachinko, I think is her name. And I had to.
Person.
Yeah, interesting person. And I like, and that was the first time that ever happened. And I didn't know what was going on. Thankfully, I was able to bounce back. It happened again when I was talking about the trans people are just so scary. I was talking about neo pronouns, and I had another one. I thought I was dying, and I had to go to the ER. Genuinely. And I think like maybe that's made me a little bit more what's the word conflict diverse, just like a little bit, not like a crazy amount, but just like definitely a bit more.
I think that's a totally valid reason to be conflict averse.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be alone in struggling with anxiety. It's been a perpetual struggle since I started streaming myself.
Yeah, so I think that kind of like plays into it, but like a little bit more it harms me more, but I think it played into it a little bit more. And a lot of other stuff I think has just led to, I think it's just honestly like the best thing to just stop talking to a lot of people. Like honestly, like have your nice and fun and good connections, and then just like not worry about expanding your space too much. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit about some conversations about some dating things, and the idea that personally when I go out and I date and everything, sometimes some girls are like, oh, I'm not sure if I like you like that, but you're really cool and I'd like to be your friend and everything, right? And I kind of think sometimes that I'm not sure if I want that. Not because I hate being friends with women. I love women. They definitely could be much worse, honestly. And so it's mostly because that's not really what I'm looking for. And I have like I have enough friends already. It's kind of hard to keep up. It's kind of hard to keep up with the amount of friends that I have. Yeah, and then I meet all these girls and they're all like, I want to be your friend. Like, well, I hope you find someone like me, babe. And I have to, and then I have to cut it there. And so I guess it kind of has to be like that as well with other content creators. And like, I kind of view them as coworkers in the space. How I can't like bring them in like that, because if I do, then I open myself up to these types of issues, and that gets in the way of work, and that gets in the way of like doing what I do here. And even though I don't take myself super and crazy seriously, I think that what we do here is important. I think if we're going to accept that what like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and like De Fuentes and all these people do, like Fresh and Fit, what these people do is important, I don't think what we do is any less important, honestly. And I remember working at McDonald's and bring out food to some guy who was watching Steven Crowder on his phone. And I want one day for them to be watching like one of our videos and learning maybe something and taking it home and talking to somebody else. Like it starts with
You're
somebody.
touching on something super, super relevant to what I have been talking about this whole year, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I am very forward about the fact that I'm an entertainer. I sometimes call myself an edutainer because I do try to do things that are informative, but I know that I'm a YouTuber at the end of the day. And I don't, that's not for me to say that I don't think any of this is important, because I do. And I know that my videos, especially ones where I put, my heart and soul into it, can have a huge reach. I was talking earlier before we started talking about my spiritual deconstruction video, which, if any of you haven't seen that, it's my video I'm most proud of. It's my video where I talk about growing up in a fundamentalist Christian cult, and all that came with that, and me just breaking down my experience with spirituality in that way. And that video has yielded letters from people talking about, I grew up in a similar church. It's amazing to hear somebody else that was able to get out of it, and that you're able to live a life and do these other things, and all that type of stuff. So yes, there is importance to this. I feel like people misplace all the importance. They don't understand where the importance lies. They think it's in this, like, you got to own everybody who disagrees with you to like get this specific alignment on every issue down to the wording perfectly, and that's the only way you make any of this happen. When in reality, like you said, everybody can't have like super close friendships with everyone in a space. That's just not possible for everyone's time.
I think causes a lot of
Instead, it's
problems
kind of
too.
important. Yeah, it can. And I think it's actually therefore important that like the baseline of a space is not one of hostility and toxicity, for it to work in the way that we think is important. At least that's what I think. When like if there's a baseline, you want, if a space exists and you want it to thrive and you want people to be able to find content that's the opposite of the far right nonsense that's getting plugged everywhere, we want more people in here, more people finding this, then I feel like it's important that that when people walk into the space, they don't go, oh my God, everything's on fire.
Yeah, what the fuck's going on? Everybody's at each other's jugulars. You're like ankle deep in blood, and nobody's talking about anything super important.
At ease to a certain degree, and that's not to say there aren't going to be beefs. That's not to say there aren't going to be legitimate gripes. But I feel we should be more careful with that, way more careful than where we are now.
I really feel like, can you tell me, have you seen me really blow up on somebody in the space? Honestly, like, do you think,
outside of the clip that you mentioned earlier that I asked you to explain? No, I haven't. In my personal experience with your content, I have not seen you light anybody up. I haven't seen you dump slurs on anybody. Again, with the exception of that one, which I asked you to give your reasoning for why you did it earlier. That's about the only one I've ever seen. And I'll be completely honest, there are people who are way harsher than you. I have probably been way harsher than you have, at least from the clips that I've seen. Now, I'm not like, I don't have encyclopedic knowledge of your content. I haven't seen every stream. I'm often streaming myself.
What are you, racist? No. You don't know all my content? What the hell?
I don't know all your content. Yeah, I'm racist. You got me. Take me down. This is your opportunity.
That's what I came here for. It's over. Let's go, guys. We got the clip. Let's go. Run.
You got it. You got me. But no, my impression of you has never been that you are somebody who goes that hard, and I have not received, even when I asked for it, even when I directly asked people who seem to have a problem with you for evidence of you doing these egregious things, I've never received any evidence of that.
Yeah, that's the thing that blew.
Which is part of the reason why I asked pointed questions to Soul Bunny. I also asked pointed questions to you. I feel like you gave a very direct answer to things that you felt were toxic or this or the other thing, and I don't feel like I've received that in the other direction.
I just really think so. A lot of people are like, I want to make this clear as well. A lot of people like think that I'm mad for a lot of the things that they said. I'm going to tell you, I probably think like 60% of the things that I'm probably mad about, honestly, is, and I'm not saying that it's reducing the amount of stuff I'm mad about, it adds onto the stuff I'm mad about, actually. So it's not a like reductive, it went from 100 to 40. I'm talking about it went from 40, I added another 60% onto that. Well, yeah, like 120. Listen, math was my best subject. It was actually English. Listen, it's actually, it wasn't the things that they said, it was the things that I'm not as mad as the things that they said as I am about the more of the things that they didn't say, the things that they implied about me. Because like you'll see some like bad shit that they say about me, but the things that they imply about me more is what's wild. Because like and then they'll get mad at me for saying the things that they implied about me, right? Because I remember that I used the hard R, but like referring to myself again, how I was like, I can't believe I had like 2 disagreements with these people and they come out just trying to call me a house N-word, right? And like then they got really angry, even though that was exactly what they were saying about me. To the very letter. They just didn't say the exact word. Like they all said that stuff about me, and they all insinuated all that stuff about me. And then when I asked them, they didn't say that they didn't believe it. So what am I? So and then they just get mad at me for saying the things that they didn't want, that they weren't strong enough to say to my face, and they're acting like children. There's no difference between like me being like the big brother and then them like throwing something at the back of my fucking head, causing a mess, and then running to mom and being like, he's gonna hurt me. He's gonna hurt me. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I don't know what more to do with these people, and that's why I'm just like, I gotta cut away from these people because I don't know what more to say. I don't know how better I could have treated any of these people than what I did already. It just seems like there's nothing I can say or do, and that's why I didn't make the video for them, because there's nothing I can say or do that's going to change their minds. So it just seems like they're just monsters, and I have to get away from them. That's it. They're the Wendigo, and I'm doing like quick time events and to wait until dawn. Honestly,
when you say like well, what could I do, to please, people? I feel like that's like a resonating issue. And I don't know. I'm sure it extends beyond lefty spaces, but nonetheless, I think it's factual that it's a problem in lefty spaces online. Everybody knows ContraPoint's canceling video was a pretty good example of summarizing how it works, the way that people like Lindsay Ellis have been treated, the way I've been treated. I know what that feeling is like. I know there came a point in my career where I literally had to say, well, my reputation is completely and utterly ruined to an audience that is literally 100 times larger than I have ever had the reach and might ever have the reach. I just have to accept this. I don't know that there's anything I can do. I don't think there's anything I can do. And there are people who are mad at me about things that transpired years ago based on total narratives that were given to them by another content creator, and they're super pissed at me. And they're still mad at me to this day, and they rant about me and they repeat this shit about me. And it does suck. It fucking sucks, and it's horrible. It sucks. It's terrible. And that feeling of like, what am I supposed to do to make these people happy? And I do think that it is true that sometimes there is nothing you can do.
You know what got me?
Like the accountability thing is like one of those things. Sorry, go ahead.
You know what got me? In the same week that conservatives are trying to push through the abolishment of the civil rights, the 1964 Civil Rights Act, 1965 Civil Rights Act, drop a video about how you don't like 2 content creators who are queer. It's just like, how am I supposed to take these people seriously? How am I supposed to take these people seriously? Like, what am I supposed to do there in that situation? Like, genuinely, like, these aren't serious people. Are they? Like, well, actually, I don't want to ask you that question. I don't want you to say anything you don't want to. But like, I don't know how these people.
When it comes to the specific thing that you're referencing, the video about Vosh and Keffels, the foreign man video. No, I don't think it's serious. I don't think there's anything serious in that. I don't.
They can't be serious people.
Capitalizing on, intentionally or unintentionally. I like to believe that it was just sort of callous and just sort of seeing the engagement, but making a title that says when you're racist but queer in the midst of like some of the most queer hate that we've ever seen in recent memory, and then you make a video titled like that, which mostly talks about straight people, and then you drive the point into the side of 2 queer people. I do think that that's I don't think there's anything good that can come from that. I think that's fucking shit. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
It's okay because he's black and his friends say that he's epic and based, and so there's nothing. You can't say that he's wrong because he's right, because they believe things that are right, and if you don't believe what they believe, then that's wrong because they're right and you're wrong, and so good things are good and bad things are bad, and we're good and you're bad. So end of story. What can I say? It's just that's the like. It sounds super like antagonistic, and somebody just saying like listening to that will be like, oh, this guy's off the deep end, but I don't know how how else to think? Please, like, if you can find any other way to think about this, I'd love for somebody to step me
With that
down off of
video
this
in
edge. But
particular,
like,
I think it would be unfair to call you antagonistic, given that that video was made and it targeted you in the first 10 minutes, in the first 1.5 minutes, with what I consider to be a totally out of pocket joke, while simultaneously comparing you, Vosh, and Keffels to Dave Chappelle and J.K. Rowling.
it's
I don't think that you're being.
crazy.
I don't think that you're being.
These people are out
I
of their
can't.
minds.
I can't, in good conscience, or I can't, in any sort of rationality, say that you're you're being the aggressor there, or that you're being out of line for being frustrated with something like that.
And they used a
Again,
picture of
I
me
have no
like after I
problem
got a
denouncing
birthday
that video.
cake. They the nice little white people there who were doing the hokey pokey to, you know, Mr. Bright Sky while I was there, and they invited me to like an Airbnb, and they got me a birthday cake and everything. They treated me way better than any of these people. Than any of these.
I find that so weird and parasocial. Like, again,
It's crazy.
so fucking weird.
That's where the picture. That's where that picture came from.
I have no problem denouncing that video. I have to be, you know, I'm a little more. I'm trying to be a little more careful with broader statements because I don't want people to get caught in a blast. But I think that video fucking sucked ass, and I said so. Like, I completely tore that video apart, and I stand by it. I stand by it's the angriest. People were telling me it's the angriest I've been at a video essay that they've ever seen. I think they're accurate to say that. There was so much in it that I felt was stupid and out of place and just really awkward and weird and hurtful, and it got seen by 200,000 people. Maybe I was angrier at the video essay where Shoe on Head clipped me out of not even clipped me out of context, just took a separate clip that didn't even make sense and then just called me a pedophile defender, and that got seen by 1 million people. I think I was more personally angry at that one because that's pretty fucked up thing.
I don't know. I don't know about that, honestly. I actually haven't ever watched a Shoe video before. So I actually don't know that much about it. If I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. I think we're allowed to be a little salty every now and again. Especially because I think both of us honestly mind their own business a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been known to, you know, I tend to have moments where I get activated.
You dabble in the sauce. You can be a little fire dancer every now and again.
I don't pretend to be above drama. I mean, I don't do drama content very often. I do drama mamas, which, believe it or not, despite the name, their entire goal is to sort of diffuse the drama effect. My drama mamas are like deep dives where I bring up all the receipts and try to make the story make sense.
I saw that. That's actually a really good name for a series. I recently came up with one. I called it Canceled or Cringe. The series where we figured out if somebody was really canceled or if they were just cringe.
That's good. That's good as hell.
But thank you.
Too. Yeah, I tried to do, you know, that's my drama content, but I try to stay away from like community drama for the most part, with a few exceptions. If it hits particularly close to home, I may weigh in. If it annoys me a whole lot, I may weigh in. But I mean, I used to do it more often, believe it or not, and I've moved away from it because I was just getting tired.
I remember. I don't think I've been here as long as you, but I've been watching the content for since 2016. So I've been in the space since then. So it's been a while. I'm an old head, awesome. I guess. I realized I was getting old, honestly. Like I felt my facial hair starting to grow in a little bit more, and then I looked at the year, and I'm like, I'm always 1 year older than the actual year typically because my birthday is in January, and I was like, I'm 24. I'm getting old. I'm getting up there. I'm becoming.
You're a baby.
I'm getting geezer mode.
What are you talking about?
And now I'm old. It's 24. It's old.
Everybody in these spaces always makes me feel ancient. You know how old I am?
Yes, my mom always told me never to guess a woman's age.
Guess.
26. Honestly, probably like 28.
33.
33.
I'm 3 months away from being 33. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Nobody believes me.
You've been around.
Everybody comes here and says, "Oh, I feel old. I'm 25." Fuck off. I'm old as shit. Yeah.
You're doing well for yourself for at 20. I've seen some very disheveled 33-year-olds, so you're making it happen.
Yeah, no, I like to. I got to remind myself that in these spaces trend very young because it's just the way it is, and I feel older than I actually am. And I have to remember, hey, I got a long time ahead of me. My mom's still doing great. So,
Hmm.
and she's much older than me. So,
You're
yeah,
still kicking it. That's
yeah.
beautiful. But
Well,
yeah,
so
if you don't have
we've
any
gone over a
other,
lot of stuff.
yeah,
No, I feel like we've talked about most of the core, you know, stuff that I wanted to, that I was hoping we would go over with regard to this particular situation. And I think it's been a very productive conversation. I think that I felt like, my questions were, I mean, honestly, you were willing to offer a lot of your experience and your feelings about things and your opinions about things. And I
it's
think
almost like when you're
that's
not lying,
great.
you're willing to share.
Well, I mean, I will say there was some in the last conversation we ended up getting off on a big tangent on the say her name stuff, and we didn't 100% see eye to eye. But there was a lot
Dude,
of
that shit's
her
100% yoinked from Native American people, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't describe it that way. That's the point I was trying to make. I don't think that's how hashtags work. I don't think people can own hashtags.
They nabbed it.
Um,
Swiper, no swiping.
but it is a simple fact that yes, the say her name was used before anything else. The first like earliest recorded, public usages of that phrase, as far as I can tell, was for missing and murdered Indigenous women. Now, I think it would be absurd, personally, for me to make an argument that like it was stolen by another group of people.
Hmm.
I just don't think that's how hashtags like this work. I don't think that's how 3-word phrases work.
Yeah, and
I,
it makes me
I,
so angry
yeah.
when it comes to like speaking as like a black person here. Honestly, speaking as a black person, um, I think that it's crazy when I see it makes my blood boil when I see other black people trying to pull up the ladder behind them when it comes to other minorities who come out. And I think that's exactly what that is at the end of the day. I think it's because they see themselves, because they're black, they think, I've heard it before. I think they think that they're like, they're the minority who deserves the most, and everybody like us as black people, we deserve the most, and other minorities need to get in line behind us because it's fuck you, I will get mine before you. And they're even willing to kick off other like minorities out of their place in line, even though Native American, if anybody in this country deserves anything, and we're gonna have to get in line, black people are behind Native Americans. Period. There were fucking 100 million of them here before Christopher genocide came and ended all of that. Okay, so if that's the case, then I think a lot of these people just need to. I hate to say it, they need to know their place. And their place is standing shoulder to shoulder with other minorities. And we're not going to fix this problem if we don't like work together. There's no reason. And I feel like they look at me like I got 3 heads when I say that I feel that like black issues are like in the same vein as trans issues and gay issues and Native American issues and foreigner issues and people who are sitting in those concentration camps on the border and women's issues and everybody's issue. Like all of these minorities and marginalized groups, we need to stand together to work together for this for anything to really change. We need each other. We can't just work outside of each other. This is how movements fall apart. You like squabbling endlessly about a hashtag you can't own, and you didn't even make yourself. You stole from indigenous people who need the most amount of like space, period. If I'm going to be honest with you, like black issues are pretty big in the news right now. I still haven't heard shit about a Native American person, about Native American women going missing. Like they'll always be there when it comes to like a black trans woman getting missing, which you do need to be there for, or like a trans person or a gay person or like this and that. They'll always be there for, but they'll never say anything about Native American people. I haven't heard them say shit about that in forever. And these people just need their help, and it just makes me sick when I see other black people try to sit here and say that we deserve more than other minorities and trying to kick them off and trying to like boost up ourselves for their like and take space from them when we could share space together. But I guess these people were born as like single siblings or something because they're not used to sharing, and it just makes me sick.
I think I agree really strongly with you, especially on the part of, I should say I agree with you on the solidarity part most strongly. There, at least from my perspective, and the way I see it is that, like, I don't understand the mentality. I don't understand the mentality that would guide someone to believe that like a sort of spin up, spur of the moment hashtag movement is any sort of act of like colonization or theft or anything like that. I feel like that is, I feel like that's an odd approach and an
To use
unproductive
Soul Bunny's
approach to the
language,
issue.
she's entitled. She feels entitled to use whatever she thinks is going to make black people's lives better, even in the smallest amount, even if it means stealing it from somebody who is using it first. That's what it means, is that she knows a lot about the history of black people in this country, but I don't think she necessarily knows shit about what other communities have gone through, or are going to disregard their minority status because they may be a part of another majority or non-marginalized group, and so they can wipe that all away and say, sorry whitey, I don't care if you're trans, and they're trying to like and they're trying to throw you in jail for getting for trying to transition or some shit like that. Whoops, you're a colonizer, fuck you, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And because at the end of the day, she wouldn't admit it, but I'm going to tell you this right now, that if you like drill down on the point on that point about like that the hashtag being for specifically like missing indigenous women, that it's that her like idea would come out to basically calling them colonizers. I'm going to tell you, that's my personal opinion. You can disagree with it if you want.
I mean,
I think that she wouldn't like.
Mind, but
I think she would bristle at saying it, but I don't think that. I think that she would very happily beat around the bush about calling about if she saw like say her name to like a big Native American like story about like a woman going missing, and say her name going. I do not believe, and this may be just me being like super cynical, I do not believe that she would bristle at like, even in private, going like, this is colonizer shit about fucking Native Americans going missing. I don't
hope
think so.
Not. I certainly hope not.
We hope a lot of things.
When it comes to this conversation about that topic, I found the discourse that grew from it to be so unproductive, like just shockingly unproductive, because I don't know, I don't understand the. I'm always very suspicious and careful to avoid constructing arguments that are designed to like sort of bang wedges between marginalized communities, or that are designed that are fixated on trying to hash out who has it worse, because I don't think that that's
I hate the
an easy
oppression
conversation
Olympics.
to have.
I hate
think
it.
it's I hate it too, and I think that it's damaging and confusing and hurtful and doesn't get anybody anywhere, and that it ends up ultimately only serving to break solidarity.
How about we both deserve better?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you on that. And this is not me saying that there aren't conversations to be had about, you know, trends or whatever, but how do you have that conversation in the middle of a tragedy when people grabbed 3 words and put it to a hashtag because newspapers were not saying her name?
Entitlement and uncaring for other people's situation. It's just straight up. It's just
I do think that there's a lack of empathy.
Okay.
I do think that there's a lack of empathy there, and I don't know. I hate it. I hate the state that this is the state of affairs, and this is where so much there was so much discourse around that, and I hate that it's still around here.
It has to be done.
That it's used, like opinions on it are used as justification to further judge someone. I mean, the whole reason that even came up was because it was about Keffels, because they said that Keffels, by saying that she didn't think that you know, by saying that she thought that it was not cool to try and do that discourse while people were trying to, you know, get justice for a dead kid, a dead trans kid, that was somehow indicative of her racism. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on anymore? What the fuck is going on?
It has to be done for my anime nerds.
I am uncomfortable. I should say one other thing. I am very uncomfortable with the way that that people either just stop engaging or refuse to acknowledge the fact that that missing and murdered Indigenous women were using the say her name hashtag and the say her name phrase. I do find it odd when people like deny that, because you can just look it up, and I don't understand what the purpose
Google
would
is
be
a powerful force
besides just being dishonest. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I did feel bad about that part, and that's why I asserted, no, it's actually just a matter of fact. This is something I researched previously when this was being discussed.
I've taken
Well,
my fire and rage from everything and I've turned it inwards and I've used it to cook up some better content. Now that I'm not going to be talking about this anymore, I'm going to be working on a review and takedown of Walsh's "What Is a Woman," honestly,
based.
and
Good
I
luck
want to
with
do
that.
some other stuff. I'm not gonna burn the bridge, but I'm gonna do Malevolent Shrine on the bridge. I have domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, and I have to take down the bridge. It has to be done. It has to be done. Okay. It's a
I feel like a
gamble.
boomer. Is that Naruto
It's a
stuff?
gamble I'm willing to make. It is Naruto. You're right.
Ah, yeah. Boomer check
Nice
succeeded.
work. I was wondering if you
Yeah.
were gonna pick up Malevolent Shrine from Naruto.
I haven't even watched much Naruto. It was
Wow.
slightly
Yeah.
after my time of being
Mhm.
into like a lot of not saying that like people can't enjoy, you know, shonen or whatever, but like it hit its peak like after when I was in college and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
you know, I didn't
No. Yeah.
quite get in on that
100%.
bottom
Yeah.
floor.
My favorite
I
character
did
from
with Dragon Ball
Naruto.
Z though. See, Dragon Ball Z is my shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, my favorite character from Naruto was Mob. He was a really cool guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know all the characters all that well.
Yeah. He had like cool like mind powers and stuff like that. He was a great guy. He also
That's
wanted
awesome.
to be Hokage. Wild stuff.
Yeah. Advanced ninjutsu techniques. The Hokage is great. I remember that. I know
Yes.
that. I know that one. So,
Did you know
um,
Luffy?
that's from One Piece, though, right?
Fuck, guys, she's on to us.
Yeah, I know. I know that one. So,
Okay, all right.
yeah, I know the. I know. Wait, wait. Mob is from a different show. That's what you were getting at, right? That's
What?
from Mob Psycho, right? That's why you said that, right?
But what are you, racist? Not
Okay,
just one.
I might be.
Well, not just one
pseudo-failing
Japanese
Boomer
person
at
is
this
named
point.
Mob.
Oh, okay.
No,
I don't
you're
know.
right. I've been lying to you this whole time.
No, you haven't been. Not the
No,
whole
Malevolent Shrine is not from Naruto. That's
What is it?
That's Ryomen Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, come on. God damn it. Domain expansions, Jujutsu kind of not Kaisen, what not Naruto. God damn it. Fuck. Now I feel like I've been psyoped. What a cruel move to pull. What a cruel move. I have to retire in shame now.
Yeah, true.
We were warning you. Shut the fuck up, chat. This is the first time I've even looked at chat. You guys were so annoying last time that I've given up on looking at you at all during any of these conversations.
The Millennial
All right,
Slayer.
You still got a little bit of time left? Are you getting tired out?
Oh, I will have to go. I will have to give my dog medicine sometime soon. But
okay.
But I'm definitely down to if you have anything else.
You wanted to be open to some chat.
Yeah, I wanted to answer some questions for anybody because I know I haven't opened up about this too much. So.
All right, chat. This is your chance. You can shoot some questions. I don't know. You can.
I do have chat open.
Want to? You have my chat open?
Yeah.
All right, sick. All right, chat. Go ahead. I'll yield the floor to Shark, and you guys can ask questions. Shark's watching our chat, so go ahead.
How's my dog doing?
Don't be dumb. Don't ask stupid questions. Take advantage.
Yeah, don't be stupid. I'll kill you.
I'm being mean to my chat because they were fucking freaking out in the last few conversations.
They deserve it. I actually Shady came home today. He has a bunch of medicine, but he's doing very well. I have not watched Fooly Cooly. I don't know what that is. I've only watched like a couple of I only just started getting into watching media recently. So, what's your opinion on people defending the C slur use by him? You can't criticize how black people talk to each other. Oh no, I think okay. So yeah, it's like I don't know how these people would ever answer the question. Like, how do you figure out like how do I know if I should listen to like Martin Luther King or Candace Owens on black issues? How does in these people's worlds, how in the world do you even figure that out? Like how do you figure out you should listen to one or if not the other? If you're like, oh, you should listen to black people when they talk, and you just need to be educated, okay? And once you're educated, you need to like listen. You need to like genuflect at the altar of like melanin, and if you don't, then you're just racist. If that's the case, then how in the world do you? And you don't put any like of your own thought into it. How in the world do you figure out the difference between Martin Luther King and Candace Owens, right? Like how in the world does that work out? I feel like it doesn't. So it's just completely ridiculous. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think like I wouldn't support using the C slur against honestly anybody. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good word. I don't think like normalizing using slurs like that against other like black people, honestly, especially when you're spitting vitriol. I don't think that's very good at all. Hello, hi Argo. Hope you're doing well. She hurt her ankle the other day.
Oh, Sorry to hear that. Is Argo your editor, right?
She is. She's one of my
Based.
editors. She does good
Argo's
work.
been in my community a long time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Really good
Yeah,
to hear
she's a simp.
that.
Yeah, she's a huge
Oh
simp.
man, everybody's just pogging right now. See, I knew they were gonna clam up.
They're gonna ask stupid questions.
Yeah.
Stupid question from the peanut gallery. I'm messing with you all. I will say I appreciate you all's support through all of this. You all have been incredibly kind to me, and I do really appreciate all of you've like done and everything. And the kindness that you've like bestowed upon me, because like it helped make everything go by much better and help me be able to get through everything much better with like seeing that not everybody thinks that I'm insane. It's very hard to go about when everybody that you've talked to recently says that you're like crazy and insane and you hate black people. So yeah, I do really appreciate you all. How do you deal with all this stuff mentally? I get the anxiety talking to people IRL. How do you do it? Personally, I did it by disconnecting and connecting back up with people who I know aren't insane to ask that question, right? Because you may have heard in my conversation here, I asked Demon Mama a couple of times since she like saw like both ends. I asked her a couple of times, you know, am I wrong? Am I crazy? Did I do this? Did I do that? Did I do a bad thing here? And then I had her answer the question, because like it's good to have people, you know, tell you what's up. You can think in your head like that you're not crazy, but for having the affirmation from somebody else that you know, or if you went too far in the other direction and you think that you definitely didn't do anything wrong, and then somebody's like, hey, you definitely could have handled this situation better. Yeah, it's good. It's a good learning experience, and will help you bring your mind outside of how insane people are treating you, and then back into how you should be treating yourself, because those are two very different things. And then distancing yourself from them is a decent way for you to be able to look at the situation well, because you got to understand. My blanket idea is that anybody who speaks on the internet is genuinely insane. So, and until they prove me otherwise. And so if you're insane until you prove to me otherwise, then I'll just disregard what you say until you prove to me otherwise. Because if you don't, then you start changing your life and your life practices over the whims of stupid people, which seems pretty stupid. And so no longer are they stupid, now you're stupid because you listen to them. And that's how you and that's basically how that works, right? So that's how I do it. But
I could also say, like, for me, having been through some similar levels of just inundation with accusations of very high caliber, as far as severity goes, it definitely, I think I agree with you on certain levels of disconnecting. I had to restructure just whose opinion I was letting in at all. And that was something I had to learn, because I came from not being on the internet to being an internet creator to then getting in the middle of some crazy conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I had to learn like who is actually credible. I had to find and deliberately listen to people who I know will not give me bullshit, but who aren't going to be psychopaths about the things that they say to me. Because I was getting at multiple points in my career, I was getting inundated with so much negativity, so much like frothing, unhinged from reality negativity, that it was hard to like keep my ground and to know, like, you do start to go, am I fucking crazy? Am I the one? Did I do these things that people said that I did that I don't think I did? And you have to find those people in your life who are willing to talk real to you without being like hurtful and abusive to you. And those are the people you stick to, and you let everything else kind of roll off.
Yeah, you gotta have friends you gotta have friends who are no quicker to give you a hug than bonk you on the head and tell you that you're stupid. They can be hard to find sometimes, but when you find them, they're invaluable, honestly.
Yeah.
How do you find the self-control to know when you say, you know what, I'm a role model, I need to walk away? I think I've like conditioned myself over time. Like my parents act kind of like the same, where I want to always pick the lowest level of response every single time I have the option to. And so like when somebody does something and they like go below the belt, you pick the lowest level of response every single time, unless they give you a reason not to. And then once you build up the rapport that people know that you're going to be reasonable like that, then you can step out and have like, rules are meant to be broken. And then every once in a while you can step out and do something a little insane. you know. But if you make it your identity to do that, then people are going to start treating you worse. But if you make it your thing to not do that, and then you do it every now and again, because I remember I blew up on Bad Banana. I called him I called him like a snaggletooth pizza face sex pat. And
Fuck Bad Banana.
you
Fuck
know,
Bad Banana.
and I went absolutely, I blew up on him. I really did, but nobody cared because
I read his emails that he sent me off on stream, because I have him blocked on everywhere, and he sends me, he still from time to time sends me random deranged emails
oh
that
really?
are just like,
That is so funny.
oh yeah, like oh god, I'm trying to remember the latest one. It was like literally like a month and a half ago. He got pissed at me about something and sent me this just incomprehensible, like 5 emails in a row, where he was just like calling me a caveman and stupid shit like that. I'm
Nice
like, what the fuck
one.
is wrong with you? Yeah, he's a weirdo. Fuck that guy. Yeah, no hesitation there.
Yeah, he was genuinely. Well, I mean, he tried to do the same thing to me. I only, in response, I sent him deviant art DP Pokemon porn. And it just like I just kept emailing him back more DP Pokemon porn, and he started to get upset, and then he stopped. He just stopped messaging me for some reason. I don't think I had a couple more loaded up. I was gonna like, you know, shoot some more his way. Maybe I'll just do it random. Maybe I'll ask him how his day's been, and then when he responds, I'll just send more Pokemon porn. I'll see how that works out. He definitely. Anyways, yeah, the guy.
So here's a
insane.
good question, and,
Sure,
and I don't want to pick one for you, but this one, I saw this one in chat, it kind of flew up. But this one is from Vines. You can choose whether you want to answer it or not, but I figured we'd give it a chance. Vine says, I got a serious question for Shark. Do you think there's any underlying valid critique of the whole noodle cookbook thing, or no? If so, what do you think the steel man is of it? They said, then they said, I talked to Joe Lewis a bit at one point, and I feel like he was able to kind of steelman the point that Pippa should lend more direct credit to the people and cultures that the dishes come from, with a bit of history about it, and make the book less about herself and her experiences. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't know exactly.
Again, you got into that one.
Sure, I don't know exactly what was in the book, and I don't think a lot of people who are mad at Kefalis also knew what was in the book, so it's really hard to steelman that. But the steelman would probably be like depending on how she wrote the book. If she wrote the book that like minimized, clowned on, or made fun of like Chinese culture or anything, then obviously that would be it. It wouldn't be the action of going to China and learning. There's no more respectful way that you can learn about someone's culture to going to their country and learning from the people who are basically the masters of a specific technique, right? It's more respectful than just like going to your Chinese friend and being like, hey dude, you know how to make bang? Can you teach me how to make bang bang mian? They were probably born in like Cincinnati, Ohio, and like eat McDonald's every other day. Like the likelihood that they know that is honestly pretty low. And so it touches on the idea of like appropriation and mockery. Personally, I don't think there's a problem with appropriation. I don't think anybody really cares about appropriation. I don't think anybody cares about appropriation, honestly. Like Taco Bell is appropriation of Mexican culture, but I don't think anybody's mad that Taco Bell sells tacos. It would probably be the the appropriation isn't the problem when it comes to like the, you know, whatever team Redskins, right? When like a baseball team or something. The problem is the mockery of that certain culture, or essentializing them to some like weird idea that stereotypes them. Like it's the stereotyping and the mockery that's the problem, not the actual appropriation. Because appropriation can just be anything, and especially when we live here in America, like our culture comes from like a billion different cultures around the world. That's what makes us interesting, and that's not. And yes, it's appropriation technically, but that wouldn't be the issue. So like the issue. So the way I would steelman that would be going over what exactly was in the book, but I don't know if anybody actually knows or cares what's in the book. So because the conversation didn't even have the opportunity to get there yet. So that'd be my answer. Starshark, how do you feel about soy bunny? That's really funny. Describing that black people just use terms like colonization. Okay, I'm glad that you brought this up because that lady is so chronically online. See, Mom, I think she lied to you when you were talking. I think she about like how she used your clip talking about me. I think she lied to you there.
Oh, yeah, I can actually verify that. Yes, she did actually lie about that.
Yeah, she just,
and that was something that I was rather frustrated with, but it's so minor. I mean, like, I don't, whatever. She lied to my face about that particular thing. It is true, because on any put together the clip from her talking about it earlier with Kira Chats, and then also put it side by side with the clip from her conversation with me. In the conversation with Kira Chat, she says that she did put it on there. She did put my clip in there
Also,
to
I know
sort
my
of
haircut
grant
is bad. I'm
credence
growing
and
my
put a
hair out. Leave me
name
alone.
to it. And then when she was on the call with me, she said she didn't do it for that reason. So I do think that she did lie to me in that particular instance, and I don't appreciate that,
Yeah.
especially because when I did, and now it's out there, everybody knows who I was talking about. When I did the Cat Black react, um, I didn't name names for the specific reason that I didn't want to do drama
You're
cycle.
okay,
I
Shu. I'm
wanted to
naming.
talk about the subject. I wanted to talk about people, how quickly wrong information can get out of hand in the heat of this type of drama. And I didn't want to name names or fucking be an asshole to anybody or get anybody to start assigning a list. So I don't appreciate that was that there's so much dishonesty around that, because my entire intention was to get people to think about the issue and to not get mad about the mistakes of the mistakes or whatever of an individual person. I was trying to deliberately avoid that type of shit.
So
Anyway.
true. Yeah, and on that topic with like colonizer stuff, it seemed like so chronically wildly online that she would say something along those lines, mostly because I don't think like actual black people don't talk like this. Black people are normal people who don't know like academic speak and shit like that. I think if you talk to your average black person and you say, and somebody goes like, fuck you, mayo monkey, to like a random white person on the street, and you ask them like, random shit like that, and you're like, and you ask them, hey, is this racism? I think most of them would be like, yeah, that is. I don't think most of them speak like this. I really like, once again, I think like an ounce of knowledge comes with a pound of like ignorance or like hubris when it comes to like you think you know way more than you do, when I just don't think your average black person gives a shit about that. I think your average black person is worrying about like how to put food on the table and take care of their kids, and like living a life that's worth living, and spending a time like humans want to do with other humans that they love being around. I don't think they know about that. I think a lot of black people just kind of hope they don't get randomly killed by a cop one day while they're like coming home from with milk, and live a life and get to spend time with their family and friends and significant others and shit like that. I think like a lot of this is like really terminally online, and I really feel like a big problem with a lot of the like stuff online these days that we're trying to correct comes from people who like step down from their ivory towers and like academia, and who are like college grads, basically going like, oh yeah, this is definitely so true, this is so real, we do this here, and then using words how normal people don't use the words, and then people getting confused and right wingers running with it, and then we have to clean up their mess as they lord over us, telling us that they're more educated and we need to fall in line and we need to know our place. When at the end with the and this kind of I kind of had this conversation with FD kind of like as well, where like you can talk in this like really analytical and like academic speech, which I think is like really needed and warranted. But when you talk to your average person, you can't use words like this. They won't know what you're saying. You won't know what you're saying, and they'll be confused, and they'll be upset or they'll get the wrong impression about everything that you say, and it'll be like a huge problem. And I just don't think the proof in the pudding is her being like, yeah, definitely black people agree with me. Maybe if she like gives them leading questions and tells them that this is exactly what this is, maybe. But I think if you just ask them, I don't think so. I think a lot of like minorities care more about going to work tomorrow and putting food on the table for themselves and their family than they do about the intricacies about what exactly racism is. I think they're just like, if you're like ethnically shitty to somebody, they'll probably call that racist too, from what I've seen, or they'll just be racist to black people themselves, because it's not like black people are immune to being really racist towards black people. Actually it's even proven that it's even proven that like anti-black sentiments are even like really big in the black community as well. There are some studies that we've talked about on stream before, how like people of like all races, and especially like white people, think really poorly of, they're more likely to convict a dark skin prop defendant of a crime with a similar knowledge than like a light skin or like white one, and that also persists to a lesser degree than if I imagine, but still persists even in black communities. So it just doesn't make any sense. I just believe that this that this half black weirdo tries to claim words that they don't really know much about. If I'm going to be honest with you,
I'm
do you have any
always
knowledge?
very
Go ahead.
I'm always very hesitant to make personally or to just onboard arguments that sort of claim what opinions a broad group of people have. It's something I stray away from. I don't often make arguments in my own stuff from my own, intersectionality. I don't make broad, claims about, neurodivergent people or broad claims about trans people and what they believe. And I'm always a little hesitant to just onboard claims that X group totally agrees with me on everything. Especially there was a part in the conversation where I was very hesitant, and I think that provoked perhaps a little bit of frustration on Soul Bunny's part, which was when I said that I don't know if I don't know how you would know for sure if the average black person was angry about say her name or would conclude that it was a colonizer issue.
Oh, it's
Because I
so
don't know.
terminally online
I
to
mean,
think that. Oh my
don't,
gosh.
I look, I'm not black, but like I've met a lot of people in the world. I don't think and the average anybody even knew about that hashtag on a pure statistical level, but I don't have the data. So I don't know why that argument, like, I don't know how I'm supposed to handle an argument where somebody is claiming that a group has X opinion or would have X opinion if we don't even have any data to look at that.
If anybody,
I stay away from arguments that try to say what a group thinks generally.
yeah, if anybody ever like says like I speak for my minority group, you should probably just turn your brain off and walk away, honestly, because they don't. You can speak in their advocacy, but you can only speak for yourself. Okay? Unless you're like a trusted, caretaker of somebody, you can only speak for yourself. Okay? You can speak in advocacy. You could be like, I advocate for these people, or I think this is in their best interest. I think this is in our best interest, but you can only speak for yourself. Fuck you. You don't speak for me. Okay? You don't speak for a lot of people out there. And it's not because we're like where you're like anti-black, insert slur here. It's because we just don't agree with you. Fuck you. Okay? Shut up. We don't listen. We don't like your kind. Me and the other black people who are normal. We don't like your kind around these parts here, feller. Now go on, get. That's what I gotta say. All right, go on, get out of here.
I'm going
get to stepping.
No comment on that particular comment.
Get to stepping.
Right, I'm gonna step out of this one. I'll let you. That's your joke. I'm gonna step away from that one.
Yeah,
look, I'm gonna no comment.
That one's just me.
All I will say is that I definitely will never claim to speak for all white trans women because historically white trans women don't really like me that much. As people in chat have pointed out, there have been a lot who haven't really liked me very much. And interestingly, it's often because I tend to be, on the average, a little more radical in most of my views, and some of them consider that to be very bad. So, nobody can speak for any group. Okay. I think those arguments are fraught. I think they have problems. And I don't really think that unless you're coming with some seriously detailed polling data, it's hard to say what the average of any group thinks. I think that's a pretty rough thing to make.
That's true. Yeah. And honestly, I like trans people. They're pretty all right. If I saw one walking on the same side of the sidewalk as me, I would not cross the street. Mostly. Well, unless they look really scary, like they were like covered in blood and shit like that, then I would like cross the street just to get a cool picture.
If it was a trans woman who looked like the witch from Left 4 Dead,
yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe. But you know how dogs is and all that. I just find it really. I know they're gonna get mad at me for being like for using the term monkey here a couple of times. She literally used the word like pit bull though. When she was talking, so I don't think that they have like the space to get mad at me. Confirmed trans ally. I love trans people. I think they're great. I think they're so cool, and definitely could be way worse. They have like a lot of room to be worse, honestly. Same with black people.
That's definitely true.
Same with black people.
We could be way more. We could be way worse.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, we could.
But yeah, and anybody any more? I'm looking at YouTube chat as well. DM Mama's YouTube chat as well. So you guys are also seen.
appreciate all this. I mean, I think
Yeah,
this has been a really, I feel like this has been a really productive
I hope I
conversation. I
added
feel like
something
we've
to your
talked,
stream.
I think you did. I think you added a lot. I've really enjoyed this conversation, even though the topic is, I feel like I have a knot in my stomach from talking about all this drama and everything. But I'm very happy that we had this conversation, and I do
Yeah.
think that it's been productive, and I do think that it's given some insight into your side of things, and I do think that um, you've been very candid as well, and I think that's only fair given the context of everything prior. I feel like you were willing to go very deep on a lot of your feelings and thoughts about these things, and I really appreciate that.
I really appreciate
Um,
you.
oh, Louis Boyce's my question flew away, but I don't know.
Also,
Can you just
do I know
repeat
anything
that?
about what So Bunny said about Merrick? Actually, I haven't watched almost any of these people's content, so my only opinion of them is what they've said to me specifically and what they've done to people who I know are in the space. But I don't know what she said about Merrick. I've had So Bunny blocked since I saw what the video that she made, what she said about me in that clip in that video. The second I saw what she said, I closed it and then found her profile and then blocked her and then blocked all the other people and then had like a tweet liker blocker and blocked all the people who liked all of those things. And I also like interacted with them a little bit to bait them to say more things so I could have more people to block from their community. So I blocked like I think probably like 60% of a lot of their most active community members and everything. And I haven't had really any stragglers. I've had like a couple stragglers that I've had to like pick off, but mostly because of that. Since I'm pretty quick on the block, I don't get to see a lot of the things that they say. Mostly, and it kind of stops me from being baited into talking about them more and wasting time. Because like there are actually important things that we need to talk about, and that is not it. Yay, Shark.
I do
DM, great
hope that
discussion.
you
Thank you.
feel like I do hope you feel like this was a productive conversation. I aimed to ask questions that would get us talking in a productive direction, but also I do think it's only fair for you to have your side said, because I mean, God knows, I mean, I've reacted to, now I had a conversation with Soul Bunny and I reacted to this whole video of the foreign man thing, which made some allegations. So I
Yeah.
hope you feel like this was a productive conversation.
You know, I think he's probably
I
mad
feel
at
like it
me.
was, at least.
Yeah, it was. I appreciate you. I think he was mad at me as well, mostly because when I saw him talking to and about Rico Rants, I don't follow him. I don't know much about the guy, but he seems like okay. He didn't say anything that I saw that was insane, so I just blocked him instantly when I saw that when it came across my timeline. So I instantly blocked him as well, and so I think he noticed that I blocked him one day and then decided to call me a slur for it, which is a very normal thing that a normal human being does when they find somebody that they're blocked. Also, Merrick said something wrong about 1350. I think I remember like a while ago she misquoted like 1350 when she was trying to explain why it was bad, and then some people jumped on her for it because they're stupid, even though like a white person does like a good thing and may make a misstep one time by misquoting stats that 90% of black people don't even know.
Situation was like really unfair to Merrick.
Wait, I didn't even see what happened, but yeah, anybody who treats Merrick bad is on face the wall. Anyways, honestly, that's the most adult way to handle it. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, Rico. I don't know much about this Rico character. But yeah.
I've known Rico for a while. In fact, I think we're going to have a conversation at some point in the future. We definitely don't agree on all issues. I think he's a little more centrist than I am. But I've known of him for a while in these spaces, and I've never found him to be a toxic individual to engage with, even though we don't agree with everything politically. He approached me a while ago to have a conversation, so I might be talking with him in the future. So we'll see about that.
You disagree with me on a single point? Very interesting. Now face the wall. That's how all leftist conversation should go, I think.
I wish it was. I hope not. That would make me. I just when I think about that, I just want to retire and just be like, I'm done with this.
I'll get have like a little potato farm in the backyard and sell some to the local farmers market and that's
just check out and go become go become a professional bird watcher. I've thought about it many times.
Yeah, your friend is next to you. They're like, oh, are you okay? You passed out? Vosh? Twitter drama? Say her name? What are you talking about? The grill's almost ready. Come on, we got you a Smirnoff Ice.
Oh my God. Peace at last. Oh my dear God. Well,
sit up, yeah.
Shark, thank you so much for coming on. Seriously, I do appreciate this conversation. I appreciate you being, open and honest to the best of my knowledge and everything you've said. I appreciate you being willing to talk so vulnerably about a lot of issues, and also I appreciate that you were willing to be honest about your anger about certain things as well. And I hope you felt this was a productive conversation, because I've really enjoyed this, and I hope that we can speak again in the future, not about drama, but I was more than happy to be able to sit down with you and talk with you about this as well. I'm not trying to say that like I didn't like it because it was drama. I still appreciated talking with you a lot. I think it was a really good conversation.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I just when I saw that, it kind of like sparked my interest to talk about this again. I didn't want this to be like the last time. I know they're always like, this is the last time I talk about this. Me and Bestie, arm around drama again with the same shit again. But I've probably talked about this like once and any other time, and I haven't expanded on any of my ideas. And I thought it'd be nice to give your community and my community and everything, since you saw some stuff, a little bit more insight into how I feel and how I'm going to be moving forward, since we have a decent amount of overlap. And so I thought it'd be good for them to understand what's going on and how we move forward in the future. Cause I know the viewers hate it when we're all at each other's throats, and they just want, fun content about how we make the world a better place. And, honestly,
they definitely never want blood. Yeah.
Never have, never will. But yeah, I appreciate you.
I mean, I try to, the imps, I try to encourage them to be positive. And even when there's people that they're mad at, I try to encourage them to engage in a way that's at least productive. So anyway, thank you so much.
I really
appreciate you coming on. Everybody,
take care of yourself.
Everyone who's watching, please go give Shark 300 a follow. Shark 300 on Twitch and on YouTube. Same name on both, right?
Yes, same name. I know some people have some trouble spelling it. It's the word shark, the number 3, the letter O, and the word 0. I made it when I was 13, so you can't make fun of it.
It's up on the screen in big letters, and we've been having it go in chat. So,
and Demon Mama as well. You can shout yourself out, please.
Thank you. Oh yeah. Well, my name is Demon Mama. You can find me youtube.com/c/Demon Mama, or my website demonmama.com. Very easy to find. Just Demon Mama. And I would of course love to have you all come say hello. I know there's already some overlap between our communities, which is great. And I just want to say thank you all for being cool. Thank you for hanging out and for talking about all this stuff. And thanks for sitting down with me. Seriously.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad. I hope it was enlightening and or interesting.
It was.
So
yeah, absolutely was. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
have a good night.
Take care. See you all later, and make sure you take care of yourself. Okay. Later.
Bye for now.